Okay, so this will call our State Travel Economic Development Commission meeting for May 8th, 2025 to order. The Montana Department of Commerce records the meetings electronically and will serve as the official meeting minutes. If you are attending virtually, please raise your hand to be called upon. Please help the public by identifying yourself when you speak. Explain any acronyms that may be used in the discussion. If you are referring to a document, please state the document name. As a final reminder, the recording will not be edited, cut, or altered in any manner. Now we'll have roll call.
Richard Sangre,
Here.
Jennifer Finley. Here. Delina Cuts the Rope. Here. Bryce Kirk,
Here.
Gerald Gray,
Here.
Melissa Lone Bear, Mark Blaisdell.
Here.
And Acting Director Mandy Rambo, Sean Backbone won't be attending today.
Okay, so Jennifer's gonna say the opening prayer. We'd like to do my prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you that we're all here today. I pray for strength in our hearts to help us do the best work we can for our people, for Montana, for this land, for this place. I say prayers of thanks to everything that brought us here, and that we do our best work for people who are depending on us, for the most vulnerable people of our tribe, who are depending on the success of our economic development endeavors for services that they need. And I pray for success for today's meeting. And I pray for safe travels for everyone when they return home tonight. And I say prayers of thanks for everybody's family who supported them to be here. And I pray that our words and our actions be here today. Run lunch.
Thank you. All right, we'd like to welcome everybody today, making it a good day. Today's Fed meeting. In your packet, we have the February 11th meeting minutes. You want to take a quick look through those? To approve.
Make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Dr. Boy, and a second. Second by Matt. Any discussion, comments, questions? None, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
Thank you again, sir. Jennifer abstains. All right. Now we'll move into roundtable, Commissioner's roundtable.
Chairman Gray, we forgot the public comment on the non-agenda
Oh, yeah,
items.
public comment. The only person online is Bryce. Huh?
No, we have Blair Smith, Martin No Runner, and Michelle Brown.
Any comments from any raised hands?
They can raise hands.
Okay, so now we can go into roundtable, Commissioner roundtable. Commissioners have, well, only to say, I guess Richard is leaving us now. They finally accepted his resignation. His last Fed meeting was funny.
Yeah, business committee accepted my resignation, be done working for the tribe on the 30th of this month. After 46 years of tribal government, it's time to step down, but let the young guys take over. But I do have a replacement that nomination will go to the governor. I haven't turned in my resignation to the governor yet, but it's done. So then we'll just wait for the point of Ty Watson will be replaced on the state commission. And he had another commitment today, otherwise he would have been here. See what the state commission is all about. But it's been a good ride. I've been this is my third governor. Or by Governor Schweitzer, and then reappointed. And by Governor Bullock. Been on this board a long time. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. It's like everything else. But mostly good. I'm really glad that I started to get our state people back to the table. That's what it's all about, state tribal. I don't know the last few minutes, I kind of complained once in a while about not having state people here. There are some issues that we may have with Omisty is kind of our open agreement. It's, like I said, it's been a good ride. I appreciate all the hard-working people. Keep up the good work.
Well, we appreciate your service. I know it doesn't pay very well, but.
I think I missed 2 meetings.
I just want to say Fort Belknap appreciates your service, Richard. You are, like you set an example for, attendance is half the battle. Being there is important, even if, you don't have a ton to whatever. It's not always about opposing, it's about working together and collaborating. And, you're really an excellent example of that Fort Belknap appreciates it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to say thank you, Richard. I think your contributions are always very thoughtful, very intelligent. And I really appreciate that about you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service.
Go on to work with you. That's it. The other commissioner happening?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just give a brief update. Thank you first for your indulgence. I know I had to jump on remotely the last couple of meetings, been in and out with the legislative session and all that. As it just wrapped up, so we'll be processing. We've got the governor's office has got about 300 plus bills left to process for the session. In total, about 700 will come to our desk.
By process,
That's where they come down to us, and ultimately the governor chooses to sign, veto, or in some cases he can line item on decisions. A little update on, I've given you updates the last couple of meetings on BEAD, which is the broadband funding. Obviously, there was kind of a stall for a little while with the change at the federal level. We still are in line and doing quite well. We actually, the federal government did want to review a number of things and are going to be making a few adjustments, but not as significant as we thought. So the funding is still going to be there for us to move forward. They've granted us, we were supposed to have our entire plan and everything submitted by July 1st because we were one of the first states to submit everything and moving forward. ultimately put kind of all that at a standstill, waiting to see some of the outcomes of changes or that they'd be making, so we didn't get too far in without knowing. We're starting to get some pretty good interaction of any direction changes that are going to be done. But we've granted every state a 90-day extension. So we feel good that we'll be able to submit everything on time and get the work done that needs to be done. So and then start being able to award those allocations once we're approved.
Question.
Yes.
Richard Cyber.
Yes.
How will the federal budget affect the state budget?
Well, obviously, we'll need to track all those items. Certainly, the state's heavily dependent on federal money. So far, we're not seeing a significant amount of changes on a number of things. A lot of items were stalled, and it took until the cabinet director or somebody was confirmed to start making some decisions there. I think one of the main ones that we'll be tracking is Medicaid expansion, which was renewed. In the statute itself, it does have that if the federal portion goes below the 90-10 match, that the legislature would have to act on that. There's some rumblings. I think that's going to be a hard change to make just because so many states are involved in it, regardless of party affiliation and that. But it's been a pretty significant impact to states that have it. So we will see what happens. But obviously for now it's in place. We're going to be working through the budget, but we've got good stabilization reserve funds, things like that to try to, because in a number of these issues, there are things that the state will probably want to continue. So.
Thank you.
So we just broke ground on a couple projects recently on our new casino that's going to be in Folsom. So we're building our third casino on the reservation, fourth actually. So that'll be in Folsom, on the other side of the bridge. It's going to be called the 300 Horses Casino. And I think it's going to open in a year. So that broke ground. So, it's kind of interesting. We don't really know how the tariffs are going to play in with our supplies, with the lumber and steel and all of that stuff and actually building it. But we're moving forward with it. We feel like we have a solid ground to do that. And then we also broke ground, I think last week on our meat processing facility. So that's moving forward as well. And so yeah, I feel like, it's day by day. There's a lot of uncertainty, and we just ended a hiring freeze and a travel freeze until we kind of had a sense of. So we're still keeping that in our back pocket that we might have to do that again. And, spending very, very carefully, being careful with our funds that we do have, and so yeah, that's where we are.
China.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to say, is there anyone here from Blackfeet today? Okay. Well, one thing I'm interested in is nation to nation trading as a sovereign nation, how we could trade with international partners as a sovereign nation and nation. Really interested in something new here.
So a little show, we did a groundbreaking for, this is our new cultural or ceremony center, we're calling it. So it'll, right now we have a small center. It seats about 40 people maybe. So this will be a 200-person venue. We're really excited about that being built over there on Stuckey Road. And then also this is our housing, 18-acre housing development that we're getting the permitting process from City of Red Falls. And so there'll be or 35 single-family homes, 18 duplexes, and 50 apartments, or 48 apartments. You'll see that at the bottom. Up on top of the 35, these are the duplexes over here. So we're really excited about that. Housing has been a big deal in Montana. Really hard here in Great Falls to find rentals too for everybody, so we're looking forward to that. And then across from that building, we donated, I think I told you guys, we donated the 15 acres for a regional treatment center. And some of those apartments will be workforce housing for that. We're excited about that.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck at the tenants.
They're already lined up. Yeah. Well,
Are you just giving updates on
Yeah.
the, okay,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
we have our craft center completed, thanks to PJ's help. And we're working on getting our inventory and everything for that going, but, I went to a transportation meeting here in Great Falls a couple of weeks ago. And, can't remember his name, from the region. He mentioned in the meeting that there was tourism funding through transportation. Each tribe had an opportunity for funding, and the only one who applied for it was Blackfeet. So we applied for it and got it. So I just wanted to mention that. Take back home, yeah, because I had no clue. We had no clue. Yeah. We're just are transitioning still from the election with the new president. And that's about it, just still trying to enhance our Buffalo program, get some projects off the ground.
Bryce, you have anything?
Yeah, just in Fort Peck, we're got our casino going, got our meat processing plant, got that going. Looking for some additional funds and stuff through the state for tourism and also the other ones that we have. But other than that, that's kind of about it here in Fort Peck.
Delina cuts the road, Fort Belknap Indian Community. We're doing housing development too, Eagle Valley Housing Development. We completed the water sewer infrastructure. Our master plan was for 45 homes, but we're starting with 24 because of the high cost in materials and building and stuff. It's kind of really impacts projects. You kind of used to be able to throw on like 35%, but now it's like 50% you need to kind of throw on for increased costs and materials. But it's putting tribal people to work. We've got 2 tribal firms working on kind of like neck and neck, almost like competition. So we're working out pretty fast on building the homes. We've got an NTIA broadband connectivity grant. It's a very large grant to the federal government. We work really closely. We do stand-up meetings with the Fed reps and our team every morning at 8:30 on Mondays, and then a stand-down meeting on Fridays. We've got a good team going on that. It's going to be able to bring in also some revenue to our TIPO and TARO programs because of the fees associated with development steps that we require. But it'll bring 20 jobs, local jobs to the community. So there's a lot of other things going on. As far as we've got some housing development going on in the northeast corner. That will be like a community center with just a few houses around it. There's literally no housing development out in the northeast corner towards Dotson on the northern end of the reservation. So yeah, a lot of Little Shaw members, live in that area. So like the Chili Bowls and stuff. And so West Killial's kind of really heading that up. we just completed an RFP, doing a selection today, as a matter of fact, at 3 for the environmental work for that. And then we'll just kind of keep following through with that, so. And then also Lodgepole Leggings area is getting some housing. We're not talking mass numbers, but any housing is really important. We have a housing crisis on the reservation. So any new housing that we're doing is really critical to bringing in professionals and bringing back people that are educated and, you know, trained to come back to the reservation and work and work in our organizations and our businesses. So it's really vital. And are still working on an Old Hayes housing development. We're working on a preliminary engineering design for that. And then just a bunch of renovation work. We're using existing buildings, we're using vacant lots, things like that. Trying to, you know, do a few things like that. So that's, well, I'll just leave it right there. A lot of other things cooking, but that's pretty much just a few things.
Are these homes, they're not scattered, are
No, they're kind of like,
they? Like that?
in a, yeah, they're like organized in like a neighborhood type deal. So it's on a mountain development group and Fort Belknap Indian Community and the Fort Belknap Housing Authority. We want the housing authority to carry the torch for housing, so we go through all of that with them on the master plan. They have a master plan for like 30 years out in that area. It's a very large area, so hopefully we keep on continuing to develop in that area. Although it's just at the agency, we're still doing small housing areas, you know, in these other more rural parts of the reservation still, because we want to kind of try to be able to spread that around the best we can. Of course, everything is contingent on funding. I might as well just close with saying that, you know, with trying to be in line with the new Trump administration strategies and all the executive orders, Fort Belknap has seen some takebacks, closures of awards that have already been awarded to the tribe for no wrongdoing on our part, just snuffed out. And I just wanted to mention that, you know, yeah, you have these grant agreements and there are grievance processes you can go through, but they're pretty futile. We've also had a lot of delays in grant awards that are pending, like literally 4 to 6 months ago, literally we're on the verge of getting an award letter, but then pull that back to go through a further review with 2 other levels above the Fed reps who have been normally just giving you the award because you worked on a really good grant application. So there's been a lot of delays. So timelines are all mixed up. Like you were mentioning, you had a plan and now you have to, you know, you have an extension. Some of them can't even tell you that. The frustration I have is that no one's giving you the review criteria ahead of time. And sometimes they don't know until the last second that everything's being re-reviewed or specially reviewed. But if you had known that criteria, you know, you could respond perhaps a little bit better and defend your projects and get them funded. We've done some flips with the raise grant, flipping over to, you know, to Transportation Department Transportation on the federal level. We had a flip in 24 hours with some requirements for changes in language. We did flip, we got it in. The good thing is it didn't change our scope of work, but you know, the frustration is like knowing last minute, it really puts you sort of at a disadvantage if you're really not on top of it. And so our thoughts are that we want to be in line with the strategies rather than buck them, but we kind of need to know a little bit, at least a little bit more disclosive, and we're not really seeing a lot of disclosure because even our Fed reps don't know till like the last minute, or just literally don't even know like anything until like it's happened. So that's really a challenge for tribes who are used to being eligible for grant funding. So just watch out for all that. Thanks.
Chair Ray, I just wanted to note that Michelle Brown posted on here that we appreciate you, Commissioner Sangre. It's been a pleasure to work with you over the past 3 years. Thank you for teaching me how to approach my work and role. So, and I appreciate you as well. I wanted to add that in there.
All right, thank you.
All right, so up next we have a CSI overview and financial literacy update. Mr. Brown, Commissioner Hughes, and the chair.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's all right if I.
Yeah.
Misty cool seat.
As well.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today and introduce myself. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I have three objectives today. First was to introduce myself, which I'll talk a little bit about, and then introduce the State Auditor's Office. I know some of you are familiar with what we do, but you'd be surprised at how many folks are not familiar with what we do. And then to provide an update on the financial literacy initiative that I know my predecessor, Congressman Downing, was working on. So, so I'm Jim Brown. A lot of people take a humor in the fact that my name is actually James Brown, much like the soul singer. So as you can imagine, growing up, I got a lot of jokes about that. So I'm a fourth generation Montanan. I grew up down in the Dillon area. My great grandfather homesteaded around Bannock, Montana. Who knows where Bannock is? Yeah, absolutely.
Where is it? You have to tell us now.
What's that?
Where is it?
Oh, it's in the very southwest corner of Montana, Beaverhead County.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's certainly it's a ghost town, but it's a state park.
Right, it's a state park now. My family still has the cow-calf operation by Polaris, Montana. So we've been around Montana about 140 years. Grew up Beaverhead County High School, went to college at the University of Montana, and then went to law school, and then I operated my own law firm for many years. And then some of you probably know me from the fact that I served on the Public Service Commission. I was the head of that agency for the last 4 years before being elected to state auditor. So it's a pleasure to introduce myself and to be a part of this discussion. So I'll also introduce Molly Plummer with my agency. Many of you have probably met Molly before, but she helps me with tribal relations and with the initiatives that we undertake. So Montana State Auditor's Office is a very interesting little office. The auditor's position has been a constitutional position since the 1889 Montana Constitution. It was one of the 5 original constitutional officers. It still is today. The interesting thing about my office is that we don't audit anything, which is one of the misnomers of the job. But in 1889, the auditor did audit the functions of government and was the tax collector for the state of Montana. But when the 1972 Constitution was passed, the new Constitution, those duties were taken away, and I became the Commissioner of Insurance and Securities. And what we try to do in both the health area and the security side is to invest or to educate Montana consumers about their investments and about what their insurance options are, but also to regulate providers in those areas. A couple things that we've been working on recently, believe it or not, the 21st century has arrived in full force. You may have seen that President Trump has undertaken an initiative to start having digital currencies recognized as a form of legal tender in this country. We have a role in that because many of these digital currencies like stablecoin or Bitcoin can be considered securities, which are regulated by us. So I've actually been in discussions with the Trump White House about protecting the state of Montana's ability to regulate those that provide these things so that they register and we know they're legitimate, and also to prosecute bad actors in these areas because there's much fraud, as you can imagine, related to these. In fact, it's the number one growing area of fraud in the financial industry is these fake Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies. And so we're on that. And then of course we, as I noted, investigate securities and financial fraud. There should be some flyers in your packets that were handed out that discuss more of that. But what we're seeing more and more is that the sophistication of fraud that's being perpetrated on Montanans, whether they reside on reservations or whether they just reside anywhere else, the sophistication of these scams is just getting greater and greater because of the growing use of artificial intelligence and the ability to mask and to represent people that you're not. Big areas we're seeing here is like romance and friendship scams, where people befriend people online and then steal money from them. And then, of course, Ponzi schemes are always a problem in Montana. If you want more information for those that you represent today, you can go to our website, which is csimt.gov, csimt.gov, and then just go under outreach, link on our website. On the insurance side, again, we investigate insurance complaints and fraud. What we're seeing, and I know each of you is seeing this too, is the cost of insurance of all forms is exploding across this country. It's true in Montana, where we're seeing a particular uptick in insurance costs, and particularly in cancellations of policies, is homeowners insurance because of perceived wildfire risk. A lot of what's happened in California, particularly with the LA fires in January, is causing insurers in Montana to be very careful about who they insure and the location of their homes because of the opportunity for a lot of loss. Where I have a particular fear, where we're going to see real problems in that regard in Montana, is down in Gallatin County, the Yellowstone Club area, the Big Sky area, where you have those multi-million-dollar homes that are built right into the forest interface at the end of dirt roads that can't be accessed. It's pretty scary time. Just a reminder to you that for those business owners that you work with, you need to make sure that they protect their investments. And the way that they do that, of course, is they have to have enough insurance coverage to cover the amount of insurance that is needed to take into account the growing value of property in Montana. We've all seen Montana grow in terms of population, obviously. People want to move here. That's driving up the housing market. You talked a little bit about what's happening with housing in Montana and what a problem that is. Part of that, of course, is inventory, but and what's resulting on that is that what is available is selling at higher and higher prices. And so people need to make sure that they have enough insurance to cover the great growth in the value of property, and to make sure that policy limits are fully covering the value of business. In the packets, I did provide a document, an inventory asset that folks can use. So take a look at that. And then the final thing that I wanted to give you an update on is something that my predecessor, Congressman Downing, worked on while he was the commissioner, and that I've picked up as the new commissioner. So as you know, Congressman Downing was the former state auditor. He was elected to Eastern Congressional District in November. I was elected to the state auditor's office and took office January 6th of this year. So you'll remember in the February 2024 meeting of this group, Congressman Downing made a presentation at the Helena Indian Alliance meeting where he updated this body on the financial literacy joint initiative that he was working on. So the update on that is the meetings on that continued through 2024. The work group concluded its work at the end of 2024 by providing interested parties and stakeholders with compilation of available resources and information that can be used to help educate folks on the importance of financial literacy. Part of that, of course, is targeted to financial literacy in Indian country. We had participation from 7 key members in that, which was the governor's office, Department of Commerce, so thank you for that, the North American Community Development Corporation, the Federal Reserve Bank, the Montana Manufacturing Extension Center, Montana Council on Economic Education, and the American Indian Governance and Policy Institute. And the key findings from that working group were the following 3 things. The initiative has to be culturally relevant in terms of financial education in order to connect traditional values with modern money management. The initiative has to address the unique financial challenges within the tribal communities. And of course, we need help with finding community champions and sponsors with each of the tribal communities. So we're still asking for your help in that regard. So that's my update. We think this is a pretty good initiative. Again, the materials are included in your packets, and we appreciate the opportunity to continue working forward. I think Molly would like to add.
Yeah, to draw your attention to the last page on the report, there's a QR code, so that's something that you can take back. And if anybody is interested in reaching out to our outreach team, they are more than happy to help get the right players and do presentations, either via the internet or in person. So just that's code's kind of handy, so you can share that, right? Thanks.
So I'll just leave you with this. We would love to be a continued partner with you in economic developments. One of the tasks that the Montana legislature has assigned my office is to engage in economic development through the promotion of capital in Montana, to try to draw capital into Montana so that we can all grow together. Certainly, that's one of my priorities as the state auditor, is to continue to ensure Montana
That's okay.
grows economically and to help all communities. We serve as a resource in that regard. And as I stated, we are certainly a resource in terms of helping your communities fight insurance fraud or securities fraud. And that's what our mission is at the auditor's office. And then certainly we want to develop these financial education tools. So please reach out to us and we want to be. Yes, good morning.
Like to thank Richard Senator for recommending for your visit here, Congressman Downing. Businesses wishing at least twice. Glad to be updated. And I appreciate your keep an eye on the insurance and the liability insurance. It's about double. And I don't know how many other people are in the same situation.
Yeah, there are a lot of, so I just went up to, first of all, thank you for the appreciation. And yeah, I'm very pleased to continue on with what Congressman Downing has done. So I actually drove up to Eureka Monday, I guess it was. That's a long drive, by the way. 11 hours in a car. But I was part of a community wildfire forum and the impact that that's having on insurance in Montana. It's a scary time in Montana. A lot of people are being priced out of the insurance market, not only on the homeowner sides, but on all forms of lines. Certainly the governor's office knows we have a cost crisis in Montana through what's happened both on the national level, but also because of the interest in people moving to Montana, which, as we know from having grown up in Montana, is causing native Montanans to have difficulty in affording living in this beautiful state anymore. This is certainly one of the challenges the governor's office has, and certainly one of the challenges I have as the state auditor, is to make sure that insurance products remain affordable and available for Montanans. But it is a challenge.
So at Northern Cheyenne, we belong to Amaranth. I don't know if the rest of the tribes do. And years ago, the council took action to provide home insurance for all of our elders. So the council covered the cost, the tribe covered the cost for the insurance. And then our former director of housing was on the Amarin board, but he gave us a report that Amarin went corporate and is getting out of the home insurance business. So we need help.
Yes.
We need help. If anyone has information on an insurance broker, that might be helpful.
Yeah, we're seeing cancellations.
Yeah.
Right now, we're getting in all the notifications for 2026, right? from these insurance companies, and the number of cancellations of homeowners policies that we're seeing is staggering. Right now, Montana. Yes.
Do you have authority over insurance companies who work with tribes? Like Amber.
So, our office, we don't have a lot of authority, but we are definitely a resource. We have been introduced to Amarin. There's a number of them that we've had conversations with. Really comes down to making sure that they're financially solvent and able to, because they are a sovereign entity as well, and that it brings value to the tribes, but it also takes them outside of state regulation. But that doesn't mean that our office is not available to help provide guidance and instructions to help ask the right questions if you have problems. So that's kind of one of those things. It's the same thing as you run into with self-funded health plans, so they're kind of outside of our jurisdiction, but our office can still try to assist and give you questions to ask, how to, and kind of direct you how to proceed. So, yeah, kind of a, we don't have much muscle there.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for the opportunity to come
I
meet you.
also think this is huge.
Yes.
My wife works at a bank, and you wouldn't believe how many elderly people come in and they try to withdraw $10,000-$20,000 in that. The bank, what are you doing? You know, they do try to protect them, and they're like, well, they said I have to do this, or I'm gonna get fined. It happens a lot. For something like this, if you could, I mean, if it was culturally relevant to any country, it would be really useful. If you had to do a QR code.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's easy, yes.
So I appreciate that. Which banks?
Stockings.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
So, in my prior life, as a private attorney, Stockman was one of my clients, and so I know Old Coffee very, very well. Yeah, he was a great guy. But yeah, so the one area of increase I did ask for my agency from the legislature, this legislative session, was related to this. I asked for additional funding from the legislature for us to go out into communities across Montana, including tribal communities, to talk about elder fraud and abuse. I'm glad to say the legislature did give my agency an extra $100,000 to do this. In June, I will actually be starting a tour across the state using part of, I mean, I won't be allocated that money until after July 1st, but to get started on this initiative where we're going to go out and start talking to communities about the importance of this and what the resources are. As you stated, a lot of what we see is exactly what you talked about. People get phone calls or emails, and there's always the pressure that this has to be done immediately. We had an awful instance down in Anaconda Deer Lodge County where this lady lost $400,000 in savings to a crypto scam. I mean, it's absolutely awful. And so I appreciate that.
And that's the thing too, like the last one I heard about was they were wanting her to go to get crypto. So, and, you know, I think, with AI coming about more, it's becoming more confusing for people. If it's not
Thank you.
real or real. So
Okay.
that's really becoming a huge issue.
Yeah, the
For
amazing
our
thing,
elders too.
the amazing thing that we've seen in the AI field, that it's just incredible, is that they can capture your voice now and then make phone calls using your voice so that your loved one might think that you're in trouble or something. That it's incredible what they can do to that. And then what you're talking about, the crypto, the newest one that we've seen that we're trying to alert people to, and I'm sure you've seen this in Helena, is that you go to the convenience store and you know, you have your ATMs, right? But have you seen these crypto machines or whatever?
Told the lady to go to that. And
Yeah.
get it, send the crypto there.
And so what we've been doing is trying to go to businesses and have them put a sign on those machines saying, please beware, you know, before you put money in this machine and that sort of thing. And we've had some success with that, but people still do that. It's incredible.
Once it's in the machine, it's gone.
Yeah, especially with crypto.
Yep, it's. So I just shared just one of our other brochures since we got talking about homeowners. This is example of things like you had mentioned, having culturally appropriate relevant information that we love to do. So if there any tribal leadership council member of your communities, go on our website and see information. We can custom tailor, we can find content that meets your needs. So just know that we have a great team that puts these together. So
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah. appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming.
Nice to see you. Pleasure. Thank you.
since you're here. So you can do
Your tribal members are individual.
Okay,
Only
Pretty much.
just gonna take a
You
quick
got
break.
flooding here. Flooding.
Ten
Yeah,
minutes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
fire, huge fire risk.
Yeah. You do.
Mhm.
One.
Okay, so, back to business, we're gonna move, TJ up. We don't have both good online yet. Floor is yours, sir.
Good. Well, good morning, commissioners. It's good to be here today. Good to see you all. This segment, I wanted to lead us in a discussion about our tribal business development grant. And just kind of to clarify, as a recap, so our tribal business development grant, it's a yearly state grant that is up to $240,000, and it's for tribal governments to apply to. And it's for projects that are shovel-ready, construction renovation projects that are shovel-ready, and more or less the planning has been done. It's just a grant that will basically help to move that project forward. So yes,
Is this the grant that we were all, that what?
yeah, I think so. The one it was mentioned last meeting. There was some concerns about the funding not moving around to try
So
to.
what's been decided on that? 'Cause I remember, like, we were
Yeah.
gonna do each tribe, but then everything
Yeah,
got
so-
shifted around.
I have a few suggestions to propose, and then, definitely wanted to get the commission's feedback. So I was gonna recap actually. So in 2023, 24, and 25, we had submissions and awardees. I was gonna recap. So in 23, we had Blackfeet, Little Shell, Fort Belknap, and Fort Peck all submit applications. The awardees for 2023 were Blackfeet and Little Shell. In 24, we had Northern Cheyenne and Little Shell apply. And the awardees that year were the same ones, Northern Cheyenne and Little Shell. This year, we had Blackfeet, CSKT, and Little Shell apply, and the awardees were Blackfeet and CSKT. So I know Commissioner Finley mentioned the meat processing project. That was CSKT's project. So yes, to get to that point, the suggestion. So that seems like it's been a concern from the genesis of this tribal business development grant, is ensuring that this funding is moving around. And it seems like perhaps we've, gotten away from that. I don't think there was anything ever in writing, so to speak, in our guidelines to ensure that that happens. And so that's number one that we, my program, we wanted to implement in our guidelines, is ensure that there's language in there to ensure that that funding is moving around and rotating. What that
Well,
could,
But if no one applies, we're limited to the applications.
that's correct. Yeah. So yeah, we go off of who applies. And so if there's no one applying, then, it's, we have to have an application to go off of to arrive at awardee. So, looking at ourselves first, I think we could do as a program a better job of ensuring that the tribes know about this funding. Primarily in the past, we've just, done email blast and to all the commission about upcoming funding and, please apply. But, perhaps there's a,
Bryce has his hand up. Oh, sorry.
no, you're fine.
Bryce, go ahead.
If nobody, can you hear me?
Yeah.
If nobody's applying, if people got shovel-ready things, I just feel that we should be able to just to give it to whoever applies for it. You know, because the biggest thing is, you know, Fort Peck, we keep, you know, having these things ready, but we don't apply for them. So, you know, I mean, if Little Shell and other people, Northern Cheyenne and Fort Belknap and everybody else has shovel-ready projects, you know, then that's only a recommendation from Fort Peck, I guess, is to, you know, keep giving it to whoever applies for it. And if we don't apply for it, then we're left out. So that's my only thing. Thank you.
Delina from Fort Belknap, you know, so Fort Belknap did apply, but apparently we didn't cut the mustard, even if we had a shovel-ready project. It wasn't a good enough application. But Fort Belknap commits to making sure, you know, I'll make sure that, you know, Fort Belknap does partake. It's not like I have to think hard. It's just I stepped aside to let somebody else apply for a specific project and supported it, but it just didn't cut the rating criteria apparently. So it doesn't have to be that project. I've got a lot of other projects that I certainly can put in, and Fort Belknap commits to making sure that we submit a good application that's considered fundable for a shovel ready. Okay.
Chair Gray, I'd like to suggest perhaps maybe a couple parameters that might help ensure that this funding is going around. So one thing that my team had discussed was, so if a tribe receives the funding, they would not be eligible to apply for the next 2 years. And then also another measure that we talked about was,
Okay.
okay.
So what if you do that, right? And then you don't get any you get one no app, you're gonna have to come back and say, hey, guys, we don't have the, I mean.
And that's one thing too, is like to prioritize the tribes who never received this award.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
The reason I say that though is because then we'll have someone having to hurry up, might waste time even writing an application, right? So we have to think about how that.
And I'm sorry, I have to jump in on Chairman Gray's comment, because sometimes, let's just, for whatever reason, you know, you might have a shovel-ready project that needs a phase of moving forward, but 240K might not be enough, sadly to say, to move forward. And then if you want to reapply consecutively to maybe perhaps, you know, continue, you know, a similar effort or another phase of that project, then that would be a negative thing, so that you would have to step aside and look elsewhere rather than count on something that you may be able to put in your funding plan for your project, you know, so yes.
That makes sense, yeah. So one thing we talked about as well was having like a, you know, our open application cycle runs for generally around 90 days. So October, November, December are typically the application period. And so, you know, one thing we talked about is looking at those tribes who haven't received the award yet and giving them maybe the 45-day priority window to apply first, to, you know, get in the door first. So just to ensure, but to your point, you know, if we're not receiving applications, then, you know, that might speak to
Then
another.
you have to go back to the other tribe and say, hey, we want to let them in, but they don't want to apply. Can you hurry up? You know, do you have, that's what that's one.
Sure.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Chairman, you know, when this first started, I say I was against. So, but I guess it's my own fault, getting our planners to get together. We knew there were going to be 2 applicants get awarded every year. And I thought the policy that they would not get funded year after year after year. Yeah. Every tribe would get a chance. It's not written in.
Yeah, it's not currently in the guidelines per se.
Policy
Yeah.
regarding that.
What wasn't the problem with that, was we weren't getting, everyone wasn't in. So.
We actually caught the second round.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we caught the second round and it was just,
Yeah.
because we don't have a planner. And there was just a few of us that sat down and said, what is shovel ready? And then we picked our project and thankfully got it, but, And we missed the deadline for the second year.
Chairman Gray, I just wanted to mention that, and Fort Belknap is very glad that other tribes have gotten the projects. Don't, I don't have any ill feelings. Another idea might be to maybe require a letter of intent to pre-declare a project that might be shovel ready, even if you don't have an app prepared yet, and then have like a little deadline for that, so that it kind of really gets a commitment from the tribes that have not applied. I would be willing to do something like that, give a letter of intent on even multiple projects, like have a form or something that I fill out and say, I have 4 shovel-ready projects, but I'm not really sure if any of them are going to be able to, to fit, this particular funding. But this is what I would declare. I'm showing an intent that I do have projects on hand that I would like to apply for, but I'm not necessarily declaring maybe one or the other right now, but it's something that, I do have slated to make application for.
Chairman Gray, within your folders, there are the guidelines in there, as well as what TJ will be speaking on. So if you're interested in looking at that, whether now or later, just want you to know it's in there.
And those guidelines that are in your packet too, I've highlighted a few of the key sections like that speak to eligibility, ineligibility, what makes an allowable activity. And so those are things definitely to look at. We're in a period right now. We've already arrived at our FY25 awardees. And so now we're kind of looking at these guidelines. We're wanting to get the SCED Commission's feedback so that we can make corrections or additions to the guidelines for the next fiscal year. So.
Just to clarify, so it's a total of 250,000,
240,000
40,000 total,
yeah.
for 2 awards.
Yeah. We have in past years split that award out. We've had past 2 years, I believe, 2 awardees. Yeah, 2 awardees for each year. So we split that out, accordingly. So.
But it's not, Chairman Gray, but it's not in guidelines, just to go on to that it has to be split. It could be one award.
Correct.
Well, that just goes back to whether or not you're gonna go for this pot if it fits your need, but, I'm not saying, I'm just saying your group respectively are given 2 awards, so it's really like 120. So, you can't think of the 240. If you write your proposal for, the full pot, you're gonna have to really write it for 120 or 80, or reminds me of ITCD funds. They offer you 150, but they'll only give you 79 or 93, and you've already come up with a whole budget, for what you need up to the max, but you're not going to get it. So you just have to kind of undercut it a little bit. But that's the name of the game with grants. That's okay.
That's a good
I understand.
point. Do you write it for the 240? Because that's what's
No,
intended for.
because
Now you
that's full
can't.
pot. Technically, you'd say the available funding is 240, but it's eligible for 8 different projects potentially, right? Supposedly.
Is that the intent? 8 or just 2?
Well,
Or just
that's not clarified in the guidelines, so it's kind of open to, it could be 1. Like I said, in the past, it's been 2. So that's something we maybe need to.
Yeah, because Commissioner Cuthbert is correct. It could
Right.
be 8.
It
I know.
could
That's
be,
allowed,
it could
yeah.
be, you know,
30,000.
so.
Who was the last one? CSKT and who?
So this year, FY25, Blackfeet and CSKT. Blackfeet had, they submitted an application to have their Buffalo program enhanced, so.
Who's the commissioner for Blackfeet?
We currently do not have one. We're waiting to hear from the governor.
They shouldn't be able to put it up.
They're not.
All right, the table.
DQ.
One other thing, Chair Gray, I was going to mention too, I don't know if we've had in the past, but like actually having previous year recipients maybe come and present at some of these meetings to kind of, see the possibilities of how the money can be used and, inspire, and collaborate with other commissioners. So just another
We
thought.
can do that the next meeting.
So the 2025 is already been.
Awarded, correct, yeah.
When's the next one?
So the next application cycle should start in October. Usually October, November, December is that application period. So we will have one more commission meeting before that open cycle, so.
This is long as it's budgeted.
So
Yeah.
it is, isn't it? I think they left all that alone.
Yeah.
They were eyeing it all, trust me.
Yeah.
Poor Department of Commerce was
Target.
a target this session.
Did you just say Department of Karma?
Well,
Okay.
Joe and Gray, sometimes when you're doing a lot, and that when fire comes down upon you sometimes, or, whatever, it's because, you're doing a lot too. And sometimes those are the most criticized
Mhm.
departments, when you're really swinging around a lot of stuff, so.
I think there's a large misunderstanding of the department and what their role is and how important they are in so many areas, so. We got some work to do to help the legislature understand things.
Sure.
Well, if there's any other questions, that's all I have.
So wait, are we gonna make a decision on this or what? 'Cause
Um,
it's not in it either.
I mean,
That's up to you.
yeah, I
Are
mean,
we gonna limit the two, we're gonna try one, or we're going to skip tribes every other year, or every 2 years, or? we gonna do?
yeah, that's what we were looking at it, that a tribe that receives the award, the next 2 years, they wouldn't be able to receive it. But even more importantly, we wanted to get the ones who've never applied or never received it. We wanted to, maybe have a priority window where they, we specifically reach out to them first to see if they want to get an application in. But I don't know how you guys feel about the 2-year thing.
That's what I think I would do. But then I would also say if the tribe that you reach out to doesn't apply, then how do you reach out to it? But I'm why?
Essentially, yeah, there's a few that haven't applied, and then if they don't have an application, then it's just opened up to everyone again. So,
You'll have to open that up quickly, so that, because that. takes
Right,
time
we don't
to
wanna
do
take
that,
time
and if
away
there's a
from-
Shovel-ready
Right.
project, then.
So Chair Gray, how would that work if we, like, if the application period is October through December, and I don't want to overtake, would we reach out prior to the October time and do that outreach, or are you thinking within the October? to
we
December?
could do it that way, just right before the application cycle opens, reach out to the ones who've never received it. That way we wouldn't take away time or for other tribes who are ready to apply. We're not going to take away any time from them. We're going to give them their full 90 days to get an application in. But we, in the weeks leading up to October, so in September, my program could reach out to the tribes who haven't received it and see if they intend to.
Well, the next
Kind of-
tribe would be Fort Belknap and Roxbury.
Yeah,
Fair,
they've-
for that.
Yeah, they've not received it before, so.
Put your application.
You betcha.
We actually struggled with finding something, or we had to sit there and brainstorm, what do we have that's shovel ready?
Yeah.
And, I think we could give a good presentation.
Oh, I forgot Fort Peck didn't put in either, so Bryce, Rocky Boy and Fort Belknap can have to arm wrestle. Oh, and Crow.
Grow too, yeah.
I mean, one suggestion.
Oh, wait, they're not. there either.
Oh, yeah. Well, the lineup mentioned a letter of intent. So maybe the previous year's award winners like CSKT and Browning could submit at least a letter of intent showing that they do have a nice for,
Yeah.
you know. That might
Have a
be,
waiting list.
Yeah, exactly.
Chairman,
Yeah.
I think that's a good comment because also data statistically to talk to let legislation know that tribes, although they're not knowing that they may not have a sort of a standby, they're still documenting shovel-ready projects. I think that's important to document.
Yeah, yeah. Very important.
Chairman Frank, I'm sorry. So what if you flipped it? You got the letter of intent from people who had already received it to leave that application period open. No, that won't work. Okay, never mind.
I do like the letter of intent idea. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I don't know if the correct next action here is for a motion to, put that into the guidelines. And, obviously we have a process. We submit it to legal, they review everything and then.
So if we do the motion, can we clarify, just read out exactly what that motion is gonna be, and then we'll put it in the minutes that way?
Chairman, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Okay, so this would be a motion to include a letter of intent requirement into the tribal business development grant solicitation for eligible applicants to submit a letter of intent, like pre-identifying in advance shovel-ready projects by 30 days before the opening of the grant cycle, September 1 or something like that.
Yeah, second.
I'll second.
Okay, that's the second. Further discussion? So we'll have to try any tribe interested with the letter of intent by September 1. And then you'll have to determine the 2 tribes, if they're interested, that haven't received it,
Right.
because that sounds like there's only 2.
Mhm.
And then if they don't decide to, then you notify the next one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Chairman, probably you know the names of all the chairmen of all the tribes. That's usually who you send a letter to, probably CC, state commission.
Yes.
That would be kind of our protocol.
Okay. Yeah, we can do it like that.
Any other discussion on that motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Good luck with that. Okay, good, okay, so up next is, online is Go Good. Right? What's your last name?
Hello, can you hear me? Yes, great.
Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
All right, well, thank you for giving me some time on your agenda. I'm Frank Biazzi, and I'm a founder of a project, a nonprofit venture called Go Good, and I'm very grateful for your time. I want to introduce you to this project because I'm collaborating with some of the tribal community colleagues, the Montana Indigenous Tourism Alliance, and to bring this solution. It's a digital project, a mobile app and website, a sustainable travel guide to promote sustainable travel and local businesses. And we are starting with Indigenous communities. That's a big part of it. So I'm going to share my screen now and introduce you to this project and and sorry. And would love your feedback on it. So Go Good, this is a global travel guide app. It's meant to be a guide to sustainable travel for consumers, for travelers, but also to support destination stewardship. Just a bit about me. So I'm a geographer and a conservationist and a product creator. I worked with National Geographic for 16 years up until 2023, building websites and apps and maps for sustainable travel and conservation. And before that, I worked for the Nature Conservancy for 14 years, doing mapping and information management, building geographic information systems capacity, and doing GIS projects across the Nature Conservancy's enterprise. And I left National Geographic in 2023 and have since founded this platform called Go Good, and it's based on my work at National Geographic. I'm not sure why I'm getting these notifications popping up, but and so among the various websites and maps that I created were these geotourism projects, including the Crown of the Continent geotourism project, which some of you probably saw our printed map that's been given out for about 15 years now. And we created those map guides for dozens of destinations around the world. And basically they're locally curated travel guides and map guides to places based on local knowledge with all the features and experiences on the map, on the guide, designed to provide a positive local impact. I did similar projects with UNESCO for World Heritage Sites in Europe and South Asia. I'm not sure why I have these, just want to turn off these notifications that are happening here. Notifications. Pardon me for, I'm not sure why these notifications suddenly have started popping up, but pardon that. So so I did those custom projects with places, but also Disney was our parent company, and they acquired National Geographic in 2019 and put me on this project to do product research and development for this concept of a digital atlas and travel guide for consumers to learn about places and plan their trips. And so I did all this research on this concept and found that there's a huge demand by travelers for information about places to go and things to do and to learn about the history and the culture and the nature of places. So we found that there's interest in using this both at home and while traveling. And so I got a lot of insights in that project. Ultimately, Disney decided not to do that. And for various financial reasons, cutting back on investments and things, they abandoned this project in 2023, despite us finding that it would be very popular. But I left Nat Geo and decided I wanted to build this app anyway, but with a primary focus on sustainable travel and conservation and supporting smaller destinations and small businesses. And so I founded this Go Good as a nonprofit organization in beginning of last year. And since then, I've been designing and building this product and a platform to create this app. And so the criteria that what gets featured on this app are places, or what I look for in a travel destination are places that are interesting, unique, natural and cultural attractions and things to do that are authentic and accurately representing the nature and culture of the place, and are sustainable both for the environment and managing their resources and waste properly, and then also for the communities and involving the communities in the tourism planning and sharing the benefits with them. So those are kind of the criteria and the filter that Go Good uses. And so kind of the benefits for the users of this app, which I should say we're launching this fall, and I'll give you a demo of what it looks like in a moment, but are that this is intended to be the most trusted travel app for users that will make sustainable travel easy and make it easy for travelers to have a positive local impact. So this is a detailed global travel guide and trip planner. It's curated for sustainability and authenticity. It's unlike all the commercial travel guides and apps and websites out there. This is private. There's no advertising or tracking you or selling your personal data. So this is part of what will make it a very trusted app. We're engaging the users of the app to help review the places and help to verify the sustainability practices, the kind of the local impact. And then we're also providing opportunities for the users to donate and volunteer to support local nonprofit organizations. And so really why we're doing this is to provide market access and awareness to connect good travelers, responsible travelers who care about places and want to go deeper and learn about places and experience them, to connect those travelers with good places and experiences, make it easy for them to find them. And then it's really to support both sustainable economic development and conservation, providing kind of market incentives and sustained funding for that positive impact. And, you know, there are different incentives and ways we're doing that I don't have time to get into now, but and then really to support destination stewardship. And what we found in doing these Nat Geo map guides, collectively creating and curating these travel guides, is that this process really helps to bring together local stakeholders to collectively kind of manage and promote their destination in a way that benefits the local people. Okay, so our goals here with Go Good are to disperse tourism in space and time, to alleviate the over-tourism in some places, like some of the Montana resort communities, and the under-tourism issues, and to sort of spread those benefits of tourism. We're also in that providing that kind of guidance, also giving guidance about how to visit places respectfully, the people, the wildlife, and really provide that guidance based on local knowledge and local preferences. Also, we're amplifying and elevating the small, independent, locally owned businesses and smaller communities to help them compete with the larger communities and larger chain hospitality and businesses. And then, but we do have these criteria to get onto the Go Good app is to, you know, kind of assess for each business to kind of assess where they are in terms of their environmental stewardship and their community impact and their employment practices and that sort of thing. So there's a bar that needs to be reached in order to get listed on the app. And that's where we want the Go Good to provide an incentive for businesses to understand where they stand and then to commit to improving that over time. And then also to allow destinations, places to use this process and use the platform to engage both their visitors and their local stakeholders to advance both their marketing and their stewardship goals. And so, so we have the beta version of the mobile app, which if any of you have an iPhone, we don't have the Android version yet, but I'm happy to share a link if you want to try it out. But what I want to do now is give you a live demo of it. I really want to stop that. Maybe I can turn on this do not disturb. Okay. All right, so you're still seeing my screen, right? Oh, but you're not seeing my entire screen. Sorry, I think you're only seeing my my presentation. Hold on one sec. Oh, I know. Pardon me. I need to share my whole screen. I'm going to try this again because I need. All right, it looks like I do not have an option to share my full screen, so I just have to share my demo. All right. Okay. Can you see my mobile app view?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So now I'm just going to give you a demo of the app on my phone. So So here, as I said, we're piloting this in Montana. So it's a global app, and this is an interactive globe. You'll be able to go to any destination, bring up a travel guide for each state, each country, even more local destinations. We're piloting it also in Belize. So the crown of the continent, as well as the biggest reef, coral reef in the Western Hemisphere, which is also a UNESCO site. So let's go in and look at the Montana destination page. So here we are. This is what the destination page looks like. And you can toggle between the kind of the gallery view and the map view. So the app, and we've started building out content, beginning with indigenous places and experiences, as well as other rural things. But you can toggle between the map view and the gallery view. But the good stuff is all down here. This is basically the travel guide. So imagine like Lonely Planet or National Geographic Travel Guide, overview of the place with links out to other trusted sources of information, whether it's the tourism department or other sources. But as you scroll down, this is where all the assets are. So these are all the tourism assets grouped into these categories of culture and history, nature and outdoors, etc. And you can filter them. You can look at all of them or filter by this menu at the top. So these are all the cultural and historic sites. And each one of these places or experiences will have a detail page. So again, nature and outdoors. And we are engaging with the local communities and starting with the tribal communities to decide what should be featured on this app and how should it be featured. So how do you want to talk about the place and how do you want to invite visitors to participate and experience it? So we've got the events and shows, the food and drink, and this will include the agritourism experiences, restaurants, etc. Lodging and rest. So this is where we'll have the campgrounds and hotels with direct booking links. So we're trying to cut out the middlemen, the online travel agencies that are taking 20 or 30% booking commissions and provide direct booking links straight to the business to allow users to book directly there. And now you'll see each of the places has a little sustainability score based on their self-assessment that they've done. And here are the shops and markets. So, and any one of these places, these assets, attractions, experiences, businesses, the user can click this action button to call the place directly, go to its website, share it with anyone in their contacts list, add it to a trip. So this is where you're kind of creating your trip plans, save it to favorites. So any ideas the user has for trips, they can save there, whether they get those ideas from a book or movie or social media or whatever, get directions, suggest edits or additions, or comment or review it. And so just to show you the rest of the categories of assets, we've also got the guided trips and tours. So this is where you'll see the tours, again, featured with direct links to book the tours and the experiences. And then the sustainability and growth section is where the local nonprofit organizations will be featured with opportunities to volunteer or donate, talk about them, and of course, again, get links to their website. And so that, and then now I'll just show you the trips. So once you've added things to your trips, this is where you'll see your different trips. So this is a trip I created, added things to it, and then here are different favorites. So I've created collections of favorites for indigenous places and Montana camping, etc. So that is the demo of the app. And now if I can get back to the my presentation. All right. Share. All right. So that's the mobile version for iPhone and Android. We're also building, and we're still working on this, a web version that's basically an embeddable map that can be embedded in any website. So this could embed in the the MITA website that they'll be developing through the grant, the Pilot Community Tourism Grant that I helped them with. And also so basically this embeddable map, it's similar to the mobile version on the left side, but instead of having to toggle the map view and the list view, the map is off to the right and it embeds into existing website. So we're not creating a new website to compete with all the tourism department and other websites. We're giving this widget, really like embedding a YouTube video or something in a website. So that's the embeddable map widget, and this can be customized to specific any destination or any theme. And so you don't have to see the whole global view. You can just embed a specific destination. And so really what we're trying to do is create this alliance of the travelers, the thoughtful, responsible travelers, give them various benefits for using this, the local businesses, and the destination stewardship and marketing organizations, government agencies, resource managers, et cetera. And so there are different benefits for them. And just to show you the ecosystem, what we're designing and building this platform to support, it's really all about the place. Okay, and again, we're a nonprofit. We're not doing this to make a bunch of money. We're doing this to support and sustain and regenerate these places. So it's all about the places and their treasured assets, natural culture, traditions, all that, and then engaging with the stakeholders, all the stakeholders at a destination who are basically responsible for stewarding these places and building economy, their local economy based on them. And so using this process to help, strengthen or help support stewardship coalitions and give a reason for these stakeholders to talk to each other and collaborate with each other through this process of creating this travel guide. And so they then decide what resources, local place-based resources, to share with the outside world, and then connect them with these outside allies who actually care about places and have resources to bring to bear on sustaining these places. And so Go Good, it's really kind of positioned as a bridge to kind of connect the places with these outside allies and other affiliated services that can come in to help support sustainability and marketing, but together to help curate and decide what experience should be shared with the outside world, bring in the money from the outside to benefit those places and experiences, help to curate and decide what local knowledge to share, bring in, fill knowledge gaps from the outside, elevate the good labor and that's well treated, well paid, bring in, fill labor gaps from the outside. If there's money at the destination, to help bring in these, consultants, creators, influencers to help do marketing, provide sustainability services, et cetera. And then the less tangible resources are that we're tapping into and leveraging are this love and pride of place that the local people have in the place, and this sense of purpose and meaning that everyone gets from participating in this ecosystem. So that's the ecosystem model. That's what we're doing. We're starting in Montana, starting with the indigenous communities. I know I'm out of time. I'm sorry, this went kind of long, and I know it's a lot to put on you, but we have a whole kind of membership program we're designing to that will engage both the visitors, the individuals, and the businesses who are kind of outsiders, but then also the local people, the individuals and businesses, engaging them to be committed to the place, help to reduce their negative impacts, increase their positive impacts, and work towards really increasing their commitment by becoming allies or stewards of the places. So the local stewards are like the park rangers and the guides and the people who are on the front line. And then we have various commitments and benefits that the different members will make. So I'm going to stop there. I know that was a lot to try to fit into this small amount of time, and I want to make sure there's an opportunity for questions or thoughts about this, if there's still time.
Yeah, I have a question. So
Yes.
how and when do you plan to reach out to the native communities?
So starting this spring and summer is the plan. So I've already reached out. I've been working with Leilani Upham and the MITA group. And since I started actually actually Leilani had reached out to me about a year ago, and I've had various conversations and been meeting with them and introducing them to this. And I actually encouraged them to apply for the grant, the Pilot Community Tourism Grant, and provided a little bit of help support to them in doing that. But so I've started through them, and then it's really with them under their guidance to begin that outreach, and perhaps in association with their efforts around the Montana Indigenous Trail Experience Project that got funded by the state, or just separately, but basically through in whatever way and whatever timeline the MIDA team recommends. But again, we're launching our plan is to launch this app to the public this fall. So, and we've started doing research on the assets to feature across the tribal communities, but that all needs to get reviewed and vetted and kind of curated with local curation teams to make sure that what we're featuring, which places we're featuring and experiences, what we're saying about them is accurate and is what you all want to share with the world. So, so we'll kind of do it on whatever time frame makes sense. But our goal is to launch this fall to the public, and making sure that we're, a commitment that I have in when we go in to build out these destination guides is if there is an Indigenous community that still exists in a place, and Montana is blessed to have a robust community, that we start with them and make sure that all of their assets and stories and things are featured first, and then we kind of build out from there to the other rural communities and then into the more urban destinations.
I don't, yeah, is MIDA still having meetings? We used to sometimes get notified, but haven't heard anything in a long time.
So they are still meeting, and there was a big push toward the end of last calendar year to work on this grant, and they were successful in being awarded that. It hasn't come through yet. There's still some sort of hoops that they have to jump through, I guess, and some work that needs to be done in order for the state to release those funds. But I think they're kind of waiting for that to happen and then really get started. And there's some funding for them to hire people and build a website and do things like that. So I'm sure they'll probably be reaching out to you, but I would encourage you to reach out to Leilani or your tribal representatives who are on that MIDA group. But they are definitely active. They had hosted 2 panels at the Tourism Governors Conference on Tourism just last week. So they're definitely active, and I think they're kind of waiting for that funding to come through to really ramp up their activity and engagement.
Any other questions or comments for Frank, anyone?
Well, thank you all. Again, I really am grateful for the time, and I just want to, wanted to introduce you to this because you will be hearing about it through MIDA and probably through other sources. So I'm very open to and would welcome your feedback and ideas on making this really support the goals of the STED Commission and support the communities that you represent.
We have a question, Frank.
This is Delina from Fort Galnat Indian Community in Montana. So where are you located at, Frank? Are you in Montana?
I'm not, I'm in Denver.
Denver? Okay.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm hoping to do is have a local representative in every destination. So, but I don't have that person identified yet.
So that's a good question. So part of the State Tribal Economic Development Commission is comprised of tribal representatives from each tribe in the state of Montana that are appointed by the governor to participate in this endeavor. But, it's our duty to bring back information to our leadership. And we're tribal members from each of our respective tribes. So, this body here is it. I mean, if you would like to send out, any information until we hear from MIDA, we'd be happy, because we're all gonna go back and we have to update our leadership on these meetings. So,
Okay.
you know, you get the contact information and send us some correspondence and we'll stay in touch with you.
That sounds great. I will send you some talking points that you can share and some links. And I will also follow up with my Leilani and my colleagues at MIDA to make sure that they're in touch with you all as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, that really helps, because they're active, but then they kind of went silent, and we haven't heard much from them lately.
Yeah, it's hard to, as I'm sure you all know, volunteer organizations and to do that stuff, the communication. So that's where and I know they are super excited about the pilot community tourism grant that they received to really build their capacity to do the communications and outreach and actually produce some useful marketing and other products and things for their communities.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Okay.
So. I'll have to find out who's on our night. If we even have that. Is that the one Sean Wilbur? I don't know, I think some of the tours working with them, I really don't know. Is it my dad or my dad?
It's 9 o'clock. Going up.
So do we have Olivia?
We do not. She will not be able to get on until about 11:40, 11:45. If TJ is ready, we could do HB 19, what's formerly known as HB 19, which now MCA 90-1-105. If you want to move that from this afternoon to now, we can do that if TJ is able to. Yeah.
Did he send you that PowerPoint? Can you get a copy?
He did not. It's a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
you
it's a
know,
lot,
but it's good.
because we haven't received any notification that I know of that would prep us for this.
And he's kind of connecting with existing
Yeah.
social media, stuff. So like I noticed some of the stuff I've seen,
Because,
before.
yeah, I think the council would
Yeah,
determine the nonprofits that would be listed.
exactly.
Because we're actually trying to get something passed where at least we're made aware of what is out there for nonprofits.
Sure. So like how Rochelle did Rochelle did the film stuff, the updates. It's kind of like that portal is the best, I think, worked effectively. Because I think it was very responsive when she likes to work together. When she came to Fort Belknap and got the permissions and the crew to do the pictures and the film updates.
So I will follow up with Frank to make sure that he sends out the PowerPoint. You want to see the PowerPoint? And
Yeah,
then he said he would send other information as well.
yeah, and I'd like to know who their contact has been for further sharing.
And who their contact has been.
Yeah, I think each of us would like to.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I do. Ours is, like, you gotta for each erosion, she works at our 3 Chiefs Cultural Center. And the reason I know that is because the council has to vote to appoint her to be our representative. With the council resolution. So she's our representative on.
All right, so I will follow up. I will follow up with Frank to find out if he'll send the PowerPoint and who the contact is for each tribe.
Yep.
So you'll have this handout in your packets, a real short update here in regards to, as Marilyn mentioned, formerly, what we've always referred to, House Bill 19. It's in statute now, so MCA 90-1-105. So as you recall, the nature of this statute is to show the economic contributions of the tribes to the overall Montana economy. So we've, in 2025 so far, Mackenzie Espelin, who's our division administrator in Business MT, she and I both have had a few meetings just working on establishing some partnerships so that we can go after this project a little more effectively. And so just to recap, so in March, we met with Dr. Jennifer Eisern with Catalyze Global Impact. She's the founder and CEO of that organization, and really is someone who's really in tune with data as it pertains to the state. And then also, I believe she did present at, I don't think it was this last spring META conference, but I believe it was last year. I can't remember if it was spring or fall, but she presented on just some really strong like tribal data and things like that. So she's been a great partner so far. We're going to be working with her a little bit more. In April, we met with Tom Sturgios and Kate Pace. They're the lead consultants at Creighton Consulting. I'm kind of skipping ahead. Later on in my OICE update, I was going to allude to the fact that in your packet is a study that some interns did from the whole group, which is kind of an offshoot of Creighton Consulting. And again, Tom and Kate, they really are some, whizzes as it pertains to data in the state, and they really are good partners to have for this project. So you can take a look at that. There's a 2-page spreadsheet that just has some really good data as it pertains to, originally the project was some interns collected this data from a business attraction perspective for incoming businesses to see some of the key factors in certain communities if they would want to come and set up their business there. And so some of the data is, could apply to what we're doing with what was formerly known as House Bill 19, now this statute. So those are just some of the meetings that we've had. Also in May, just this month, we met with Karen Dove. She's the director of program integration at Accelerate Montana. And we also met with Commerce's digital media team. And so, yeah, we've had a lot of collaborations, a lot of meetings so far, and Mackenzie's been very helpful in kind of helping guide the ship as far as setting up some meetings. So I don't have a whole lot to present on, a lot of the work that we've done on this project, besides the fact that we're meeting with key stakeholders to kind of build out our effort a little bit. So we do have a plan in place with our website to revamp our website, creating a section where we're going to have links and resources to data that's already publicly available, that's basically will be housed on our website. So it'll show, good data that shows the economic contributions of some of the tribes. So yeah, that's my update for this segment. Any questions?
This is the one, I didn't catch like all the partners, but that's really irrelevant, but I just didn't catch like all the partners. A lot of this looks like census data because populations are a little skewed, but I mean, this is just a sample. So will the data folks be working with perhaps planning directors or planning, folks at each tribe? I mean, like I mentioned before, we could provide them with our SADS document, which
Correct.
also tracks
Yes.
projects, things like that. And then another indicator that I don't really see on here is, a lot of tribes spend almost every drop of payroll that goes out from your housing authority to your tribal government. In some cases, they spend a lot of money off reservation.
Mhm.
for business, for goods and services and supplies, whether you're a business owner or you're just school teacher. And that's a contribution to the state of Montana's economy too, and I don't see, like a spot here for that. That would have to come from your planning department perhaps.
Mhm.
I really feel like, expenditures off reservation. And watching those expenditures, shrink after a while, not because they're not going to the state. When they go to the tribal's local economy, they're still going to the state. But they're just going like, onto the reservation. And that's what every community is all about, is circulating dollars back into their local community to strengthen businesses and the economy locally. But I feel like if that's something that people are willing to give, because like this is like census stuff, what, you could.
Yes.
And then also don't forget the old style BI labor force report. There was there's a matrix that you use to determine actual unemployment rates. But if you have to use census, then you just as well go to the census and see, but if you're really gonna get down and dirty and really see the unemployment rate, then you're gonna wanna know what your welfare population is versus your working population, things like that. So just to mention it. Thank you.
That's good. When was this done?
That the study, so this was done July 2024, so just last year.
How come no one reached out to us?
Yeah, so we never, I know in the last, I can't remember if it was the last Fed meeting or the one before that, but I know Commissioner Cool suggested that we, get this in the packet at a future STED meeting so that you could see it. So we're a little bit delayed on that part on, getting it in front of your eyes sooner. So, but yeah, it is very kind of census oriented data, very high level, but definitely we have, that's why we're kind of building out our team, our partners here, so that we can get more specific and actually go to the tribes for like SEDS data and, more data that's specific to each tribe. So.
Yeah, it's to Delana's point, unemployment numbers is not.
Yeah.
4%? Yeah, right. 10, anyway. That's basically a lot. And, if we can, get it real accurate, because I know like the state's gonna depend upon a lot of these numbers for, they like to sometimes tout them up as, oh, we have a low unemployment rate, but then when they need funding from the feds, oh, look at this, 50%, higher number, happens all the time. They use it when it's good and they don't when it's bad. That's just how the truth.
Yeah, and we still have plans in place, like eventually to reflect the intent of this statute, we want to have like a robust dashboard that has mapping and shows all the economic contributions, but that's kind of our long-term project.
And that's really key, because for us here, we contribute a ton of money to the Great Falls. So,
Yeah.
we're gonna use that, it's really important for them to see it too, because we can go to the county commissioner, city commissioner. Circulate a lot of funds throughout here.
We're missing a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Sharon, another thing too is, the Department of Ag used to put out statistics, not since like 2017, they used to put a really nice graph sometimes telling you like what each tribe, had for percentage of agricultural use by hay, wheat and stuff, and you don't see that anymore. I haven't seen that since 2017. Again, BIA labor force was all done by the efforts of the local government to put it together. They just took credit for it and said, give us this information. But that hasn't been done since 2009. But that doesn't mean you can't still follow those same matrices. But I don't know how they did that or who did that. But like if you look down on agricultural, mining and stuff, but you got to make sure that you have livestock ranching, and again, nothing from the Department of Ag on there, but they probably just couldn't find nothing, because it's just not posted anymore. And that everybody works with the State Department of the DES on natural disasters, and flooding is a major issue for all tribes. And they've only got blizzards and fires, just a few things like that. But yeah, we could make some comments to some of this if that would be helpful.
Yes. Yeah, is this broadband infrastructure access that we need?
So
All Walnut has 95% access.
Okay, yeah, Chairman, I would have to object to that too, because there's some issues that we have with the FCC map.
There's all like a lot of it coming in, right? If you look at the map, broadband. Come right to the reservation, stops and go around it. It's like this.
Yeah.
Some points to be taken a look
Yeah.
at.
Okay. Yeah, the data in that spreadsheet, it's all compiled from, obviously like publicly available data that's already out there. But yeah, definitely, we need to get more honed in and specific, because it's too broad and it's not that, completely accurate.
Yeah,
So,
because like Rocky Boy, you're completely wired. Right? 97% like, oh.
And TJ, you may, because we've had, the Department of Administration's had the same problems with the mapping. Adam Carpenter, with the chief data officer over there, he probably could pull the most factual data, if it helps. Because obviously we're having to work on all that as well, because that's part of the BEAD outlay is connect everybody. So he would have the best mapping and the best data for you as far as where we're at.
thank you.
Thank you.
Richard?
Yeah, TJ, this needs a lot of updating.
Yeah.
Like, key employers, Bureau of Human Affairs, we have one.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna change.
Indian Health Service, we don't have Indian Health Service.
Contract.
Compact tribe.
And I'm sure like key employers too are
One.
schools.
Yeah.
And have a call to the big employer. Just a little bit.
Yeah, and Councilman Gray, another thing with that, is sometimes less is more powerful than like a whole bunch of data to overwhelm a senator or House of Representative, looking at another great big, table. I think that, I know that these are definitely economic factors related to contributions, but maybe perhaps, we can kind of focus on, like how many jobs are created, from efforts that tribes are doing, just because, just like the state of Montana, we acquire federal funding because the state needs it too. If the state didn't need it, they wouldn't apply for it. And so when tribes are using federal grants to create, services or create, businesses, we're also creating jobs to get from point A to point B, and that's really important. And I think that that's also, might not be huge numbers at times, but any job you create is a job that wasn't there before. And it's feeding a family, it's giving somebody in advance to be able to, make the jump from renting to buying maybe a house or a used car to a new car. I mean, those things really make life and the quality of life important. And then plus there's a value to tourism too, that really isn't like something that we charge a lot for. But there's like a lot of value to that too, that brings visitors to the state too, because they come to visit, indigenous peoples and places too. So thank you.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to reiterate, did you?
Yeah, so if we have, I'm just a simple thing looking at like the schools, like Toledo River School and only tribal high school isn't listed here. And we have a language immersion school. So just with the additions of schools, and I know there's some other religious schools that we have. We have a bunch of private schools. And would you want that on here too? And if I know of things that, that aren't on here. But I think this is really important information to have because I think too often we don't leverage our financial power. Yeah. And if CSKT stopped spending money on the reservation for 1 month, it would devastate our local economy. And I think that local businesses in our community who have been historically, some of them, not all of them, but some of them have been anti-tribal, but their bread and butter is the tribe and tribal people. And so I just think that we don't leverage that enough.
Yeah.
And also, and I think it would help us, and this is something that we've talked about just internally this week, is having a really clear grasp of our financial power in the community and our economic contribution, because I think that can determine what kind of businesses we want to start for ourselves. How much money are our tribal members spending in the local grocery stores? And then with the advent of Amazon, there's a lot of stuff that I buy online because it just, there's no place to buy it in person. But there are some businesses on the reservation that have made their entire living off of the tribal community. I'm thinking of some of like the optometrists, for a long time that they were the only place you could go to get glasses on the reservation. There's things like that. And, the average home value is, I think, would be really hard on the Flathead Reservation because I live in Polson and there are like multi-million-dollar homes on the lake that really skew probably this number. And home prices are going down except in Polson. I have seen people buy things that are, I don't want to say unlivable, but things that need major renovations for that much, for the $300,000. It's really hard to find a decent home in Polson, but if you go to Pablo or Hot Springs or some other place, you can still find a pretty good home for a decent price, more decent price. So on the reservation where I live, it's radically different from town to town. I think in Polson it's $700,000 is the average price for a home in Polson, and I don't know any tribal members that can afford that. Even ones that have really good jobs, and they're very good someone who has a good job. Buying a $700,000 home is what. Really realistic. So, but yeah, I think our economic impact to leverage, use that information for a lot of reasons that I think about. I think about groceries. That's the one I think of. A lot of our towns would be considered a food desert. There's no place to really buy groceries, fresh produce. We have a really good food sovereignty program, but how can we expand that? How can we provide maybe food for the community or medical care? More kinds of medical care that we can charge for. Anyway, so yeah, I think it's definitely good information.
Thank you for that.
TJ, we applied for a block grant. And they use this household income. $45,000 for. That's way off. I guess this is a census material.
Yeah, and to clarify too, the data that you're looking at, it actually was, so it came from the business attraction office. It was, these interns created this spreadsheet for their office for the sake of, if businesses had questions about this kind of data for an area they're interested in doing business with. It was kind of for that purpose. It wasn't specifically for House Bill 19 that this was made. So, but it does, they kind of go hand in hand, the business attraction and the economic contribution. So, but absolutely, yeah, I, took some notes here. Thank you for your feedback. This is good data, but it's just way too high level. We need to dig down a little more. So.
And I think about like our events that we have, like the Arlene Powell is the second largest Powell, Montana Pro is the largest. That brings in so much money to all these other businesses that are buying gas at the gas station in Arlene. And you know, and I was talking
Yeah.
about, we're starting another casino in Polson. There were some people that were against it. It's like, why are you against something that's gonna benefit you? We are gonna bring in more people who are also gonna shop at your business. If you were smart, you would support this, because you are going to benefit from it, from more people coming here also. And so, I mean, those kinds of things that we do also bring in a lot of business, the rodeos, you know, different events that different tribes have, bring in a lot. to the economies.
Part of our struggle, we just had an assessment. I don't know how many assessments we've had done. Over the years, we've had assessment after assessment, you know, and what we really need is a tribal census. We need our own tribal census, because when strangers go to homes, our membership will lie because they have too many people in their home. You know, they're against HUD guidelines, it might affect they're afraid it might affect their benefits. So they're going to lie. So, I mean, we've been talking about it for a couple of years of how to do our own census so that numbers are accurate.
How is these two, firms involved again, Catalyze and Frank?
So Dr. Jennifer Eisern, she was a presenter at the META conference. And so we just networked with her and had a meeting, and because she had some good data with like economic data, and she also kind of had some access to capital data that was corresponded with the tribe. So that's how we got a connection with her. And then what was the other one? Or
Tom Sturgis.
so that they Tom and Kate, they were recommended by actually Commissioner Cool. She just mutual connection, and she referred them to us to have a meeting. So what are they gonna do?
Since they're listed as partners.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any kind of established like contract or agreement or MOA or anything like that. So it's just they've expressed interest in helping us with this project with finding data that's accurate and relevant to each tribe. So
TJ, are you able to pull them from work with like Commissioner Swanson from labor, some of the labor statistics too, where she could
yeah,
shrink that down? That may
That's
not
a
be
good
some of
idea.
this larger volume.
Commissioner Swanson.
She's quite a taskmaster as far as trying to drill down on. She might be able to help with some of the labor statistics and
Okay.
drill down on what they
Thank
want to.
you.
Wondered why the scraps is closest Walmart.
Yeah. I know. No, my city's closer. Sheridan, Wyoming's closer. The closest Walmart. Yeah, the closest Costco.
Yeah.
What year, do you have like a year when this data was pulled?
So they completed this project last July 2024. Yeah. So they pulled it from public sources. So some of this data could be the source they pulled it from could be outdated, and so. But it was kind of just pulling it together to show what's possible and how it could look.
You have an employer on there, the code says Salaga Nights Casino, that's been closed for about 8 years now.
Yeah.
Still bringing in the money.
All right.
Thank you.
We have another presenter before lunch. SSBCI update. Olivia?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Let me do a quick screen share.
able to do that?
She is. Olivia, this is.
I'm having a little technical difficulties. Apologies. I'll get there. Are y'all seeing the Montana State Small Business Credit Initiative slide?
Yes.
Wonderful. So thank you all for your time this morning and the opportunity to speak with you today. So my name is Olivia Kettenring, and I help to administer the State Small Business Credit Initiative for SSBCI on behalf of the Montana Department of Commerce. There is another SSBCI Tribal Consortium Award that NADC administers, but this would be Montana's allocation as a participating jurisdiction as the state. So this is a federally funded initiative aimed at increasing access to capital for small businesses. In Montana, we've designed our program to ensure these funds reach businesses that matter most, those in underserved and rural communities, including tribal nations. And in fact, our scoring rubric gives direct prioritization to Montana Native American-owned businesses, which we'll see here on this next slide. So this would be what you're looking at is our scorecard. The goal of SSBCI is simple, but we believe it's powerful: to bridge the capital gap. We do this by partnering with local lenders to participate in a loan, which helps reduce lender risk and unlock financing that may not otherwise be available to a borrower. We do have all of our enrolled participating and primary lenders on our website, which at the end of this presentation, I do have a link there as well, so you can view such. And what we have here is our scorecard. So as we see applications come in, and we generally do get quite a few applications during an application round, this scoring mechanism helps us to push certain transactions or applications to the top of the pile, if you will. So this is also posted online, and the little stars are just to help differentiate veteran-owned, Montana Native American-owned business, and the stipulation there. It's pretty basic in the sense that it's 51% or more ownership, depending on the group you're looking at. And then we have quite a few points, those 5-point categories, for businesses that are located on Montana reservation and Native American-owned, or perhaps you're just located on a Montana reservation. However, they can be combined. So as you check those marks, we combined for a total score. When we're thinking about urban and rural designations, as you notice, there is a lot for urban, or excuse me, rural as well. This is the map that should you click that urban or rural link, you'll go and see. As you notice on the right, we do have some outlines for Coal Country. This is a multi-use map. So we use it both for SSBCI as well as our Opportunities in Rural Economies program. So the Coal Country is not relevant to SSBCI. And if you were to go and interact with this map, you can pull those areas off. But really what we're focused on here, as you can see, are the reservations in the yellow. The green are your urban hubs. So if your business falls in downtown Helena, let's say, you don't have quite the prioritization as if you were in the rural part of the state. And of course, if anyone interacts with this or has questions, please feel free to reach out to me. We just did a big update on this, and I'm really happy with the outcome here. So this is the roadmap, if you will, of how to access the funds. So we have both a primary and a participating lender. But first, we got to determine where to send the prospective applicant. Depending on where the business is in their lifespan, if you will, may mean a little bit different route ahead. So if you're a startup business, the most important thing to do first is establish a banking relationship. And even understand, are you bankable yet? So that's where we start first. Then we always move to identifying your local approved economic development organization, which we consider to be a participating lender. So when it comes to our application portal, you must be working with a CDFI or an RLF manager to access the funds, as they provide technical assistance through the life of the application, the life of the loan, and they're really there to serve the project, as well as they work directly with the state and with the lender. So they're kind of a middleman or a pass-through, if you will. Then we have a primary lender who brings in capital. When we're thinking loan participation, what that can mean is if there's $1 million loan, SSBCI will participate in half and buy $500,000 in participation from that lender. So there's generally some documentation that needs to be completed. We fall in line with the lender. So if they need profit and loss, business financials, tax returns, which is all industry standard, they're going to work with the business and that participating lender to fund the loan. We consider a bank, a credit union, or a CDFI the primary lender in the transaction. Then we head on over to submitting the application. Our next opening application round is on May 20th, so just right around the corner, and that'll stay open until June 30th at midnight. With that said, our program has two parts to it. So we have the first initial funding that we received from the feds, US Department of Treasury, and then we have the recycled aspect. So while the likely final application round to spend our state allocation is in May to June, the recycled application for SSBCI will stay open for the duration of the program. So don't get too concerned in the timing there, because as principal dumps back in, we have an open application in perpetuity for businesses to still access funds and really low interest funds. The QR code there on this screen will take you directly to our SSBCI webpage, and you'll see that interest rate information there. We have loans for as low as 0.5% up to 3%. So that's really hard to compete with in our current rate market. And this access flow chart is also posted online, as well as a transaction level flow chart. That's really useful in understanding each part of the way, and then what may be needed and who to engage when. So I encourage everyone to kind of take a look at some of the resources and training we also have online. So our funds can be used for nearly any business purpose. Could be real estate, equipment, working capital, or expansion. But beyond what the funds can do, I'd like to share what they have done so far in the program. So this first success story would be All Nations Health Center, and it's an incredible example in Missoula of a really impactful project. We provided nearly $1 million to help purchase land for a new wellness facility. The wellness facility serves more than 2,000 American Indian and Alaskan Native clients and honors the values of inclusivity, excuse me there, healing, and service. The new land acquisition is the first step in this project, and they have been moving along for a culturally grounded health facility designed for the community with services available to all. The lender, or the participating lender, I should say, was MoFi, and they helped facilitate this project. That total project amount is what it was going to cost from start to finish as of what they forecasted at time of application. We also have the Rocky Boy Health Center. On the Rocky Boy Reservation, we supported $1 million investment towards the Good Life Lodge. It was a 32,000 square foot facility, which will offer a full spectrum of wellness, fitness, and cultural education programming for youth, from basketball courts, classrooms, to outdoor cultural spaces, a horse corral, the center will be a beacon for positive development rooted in Chippewa Cree teachings. And you'll see here that was a big total project amount of 22 million. And we were able to fund our maximum loan amount, which is 1 million in the SSBCI pot. And this again was another MoFi project that they did help to facilitate. Our next success story takes us to Each Glacier, which is another remarkable project that is a collaboration between Midvale Properties, Alpine Tap House Kitchen, and Rising Wolf Outfitters, which is helping to transform East Glacier into a year-round destination. We consider that they're not only enhancing tourism, but the businesses are creating a year-round gathering space for the local community and launching youth programs rooted in Native culture. So our funding, excuse me, our funding involved converting and expanding buildings, as well as investing in marketing and commercialization efforts to create that hub for lodging, dining, and outdoor recreation. And really beyond tourism, this project holds deep cultural significance. The borrowers worked with troubled youth and are creating camps for Native American youth to reconnect with their heritage, learn outdoor skills, and grow in a supportive environment. This really is a beautiful example of how SSBCI funds can support both economic growth and cultural revitalization. And again, we can fund so many different loan purposes, and they tapped into quite a few. Total project about 800,000, and the participation needed to get this off the ground from an SSBCI was 175,000. In the interest of time and only having a quick 15, I only pulled just a few of our success stories, but we funded a handful of other Native American-owned businesses across Montana, each leading highly impactful projects that strengthen communities and local economies. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, as well as I have a overall funding map at the state global perspective that we're looking to post online here soon. I'll see if I can easily change sharing of screens really quick to take a look at that. Are you all seeing kind of a map with the bubbles?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So this is what's going to end up being posted online. But what we have here is all of these circles represent a funding amount. And as you zoom in, you'll see different business names and be able to interact with where the funding is. Our big push this next round is we really want to pepper the eastern side of our state more. Now we can't pepper if there's no applications, but if anybody had prospective projects, whether they're anywhere on this map or in eastern Montana, I really encourage you to give me a call. And I'd love to be able to help facilitate the success of that application and get whomever it is, whether it's the business or yourself, connected with the appropriate primary or participating lender. And is it automatically sharing that I'm swapping to our commerce website?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is our SSBCI webpage. So as I mentioned, we have the list of our participating lenders, who are those economic development organizations. You'll notice some are on the recycled side and some are on the general. If you have a bit or a relationship with any of them, they're a great first contact. Those who show on recycled are able to access that application in perpetuity because they've helped facilitate awards. Right here is our remaining funds. So when we move into this next application cycle, we have approximately 1.8 million that we'll be able to spend. Then of course, down here, those forms I showed you, as well as application forms, are listed. And then we have a few training resources over here. We looked at the access flow chart, but again, there's the transaction level. And then I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has some. And otherwise, I'll camp us out on our contact page. This would be me as well as the team. So Jamie Lemieux handles the reporting aspects. Judy Tice is our loan coordinator. So she's really instrumental in first getting our applications off the ground and that initial eligibility check. And then we have our website again, just down there at the bottom. But thank you everyone for your time otherwise.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Chairman Green, of course, this is great, but this is supposed to, because these are also economic development contributions. All these businesses that this project is loaning out.
And I'm happy as well to send Marilyn the full encompassing list as well. And then again, when that map goes live, we're really excited to show where the funding's gone. And then as looks like I have just another minute or two, if you all have heard of the Opportunities in Rural Economies program, there is a grant aspect. I don't administer that. That would be our DA, Miss Mackenzie Espelond, and her colleague Kathy Bartlett on the grant side. But if anybody has a project that they're looking for $2 million in loan funds versus the $1 million in SSBCI, I'd love to start engaging now on that. It'll be a program similar to SSBCI. We stole some of the framework from SSBCI and took what worked and then stripped out the headache or the feedback that folks said, you know, we really just don't love that. And so we've tried to create another really collaborative and a program that works for the borrower. So again, it's a huge wide net of what we can do with those funds. So if the timing isn't right for this next tranche or even a year from now, the ORE or program is something else that at any point feel free to reach out to myself, and I'd love to engage you all in that regard.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We're there for lunch.
Are we stopping for lunch?
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started again. We have 2020 Indian Equity Fund recipient Ashley Woodward. Rose Hollow Catering. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, guys.
So the floor is yours.
Okay, well, like you said, my name's Ashley Woodward. I'm an enrolled member of Little Shell Chippewa Tribe here in Montana. I'm also a Blackfeet descendant. I'm the chef and owner of Rose Hollow Catering. I started cooking when I was like 19, so about 20 years ago, and I worked in restaurants for a long time. I did some catering and I really enjoyed it, but very quickly realized that there's a lot of equipment that's involved in it. It's a lot more difficult to do things off-site or in people's homes. So I was, after I had my daughter in 2019, I decided to just exclusively cater and stay away from restaurants. And again, I didn't end up making very much money at it because a lot of the money that I made went back into buying equipment, paying people to help me, things like that. And I had to buy the equipment that I had to buy tended to be a lot cheaper, poorer quality, things that wouldn't necessarily last, plastic utensils, things like that. So then I received the grant in 2020, and it was a huge boon to my business. It was 2020, so there wasn't a lot of catering going on, but what was nice is I was able to, I got a new phone that had a better camera, so I was able to take, food pictures and do social media, things like that. I prepaid some car insurance because I used my car as a work vehicle. I did a little bit of advertising. I bought this computer I'm talking to you on. So I was able to buy a lot of technology that allowed me to really plug in to more digital platforms. The majority of my grant, I ended up spending on equipment. I went to Bar Green Ellingson, which is a kitchen supply store here in town, but they're all over the country. And I was able to buy things like industrial pots and pans. So, to cook for 20 people, at your home is not too hard, but to cook for 120 people is pretty difficult. You need some specialty equipment. So I was able to get large pots and pans, big racks to store everything on. I got an industrial food processor and a Vitamix. Again, doing things with like non-commercial product is fine, but it tends to take its toll on things that are intended for home use. So industrial equipment really makes a big difference in catering. I got a hot box, which allows me to travel and bring food and off-site anywhere that doesn't have even electricity or doesn't have the capability to cook there. I'm able to just show up with the food that I have. Big chafing dishes, the ones that you hold hot with sternos. I ended up spending, I think, 8,000 or 9,000 of my grant just on equipment, and it really, it was just I use it today. I mean, I use everything that I bought. I use pretty much weekly with my business. One thing that changed besides the equipment and the ease with which we were able to do it was the types of jobs I was able to take on. Before I had the grant, I did a lot of, baby showers, a couple small weddings, but even those were a little bit difficult. And now I can do anything from like a private dinner, which I do often enough for people that want to have a private chef come into their home and make them a nice course meal, to doing, I did a conference last year for the World Wildlife Fund for 150 people. And we did breakfast, lunch, and dinner in one day. What's also nice is I'm able to hire friends and pay them and be able to kind of spread the wealth, so to speak, because we are busy enough that I need hands. I've cooked for senators, nonprofits. It's really more than just changed my business, it's changed my career. A few years ago, I got plugged in with a place here in Billings called Kirk's Grocery, which is an art gallery and a community space and a venue for all kinds of things. They have poetry open mics. I donate and, punk rock shows. And then they also have classical music and lots of other cool local stuff. I donated some food here for an anniversary party and then just got plugged in with them. And that has morphed into we call them kitchen parties. It's a monthly pay what you can community dinner that functions really as a pop-up restaurant. So we have one tomorrow, and we feed on average 66 people plus friends and family and staff. So we usually do about 75 or 80 people, and it's pay what you can. So we're able to have people come and, we'll have people pay quite a bit, $50 or $100 per person. And then we also have friends come in who live on the street who maybe have $5 or nothing, and everybody just gets to eat together. It's a pretty cool event. We have created a community pantry here, just open to anybody that needs it. We're located in between Montana Rescue Mission and St. Vincent de Paul Society. So we have a lot of houseless people that are out on the street here, and we're able to really give back and help those people and be able to try and at least combat food insecurity while we're here. That's a big passion of mine. Kirk's is also an art gallery. So through here, I've been able to plug in with the art world and gotten a ton of new clients. Just recently, I did a guest chef dinner at Buffalo Block Steakhouse, which is a nice steakhouse here in town. I've done pop-up restaurants. And at this point in my career, I'm really able to get work just through word of mouth. I did some advertising when I got my grant, but luckily, it's a small enough town and I'm well known enough that I really don't have to do any of that. People come to me looking for what they need. I really love having a small business. I love being my own boss, even though the sick leave policy is very strict. I am able to see my daughter, who's only 6. Most cooks and chefs that I know work at insanely long hours and nights and weekends. And so to be able to, do a few events a month and get to spend time with my family is a big deal for me. I feel like I'm able to really do the kind of food that I love. We do a lot of really creative kind of off the wall things, especially at Kitchen Party, because it's just a fixed menu. One thing that we try to do is focus on telling stories of colonialism and highlighting food from different parts of the world that have been impacted by colonization, and to really talk about how that food has changed and how it reflects the culture and specific people's, I think, perseverance. I've been able to do a lot of really cool indigenous foods. I did an indigenous food pop-up last summer. We called it Turtle Island, and I tried to do everything that was endemic to Native America, to North America, I'm sorry. And we're just able to really feed our neighbors here at Kirk's. And it's been a huge boost for my business. I really doubt that I would be where I am in my career without it. I'm very thankful for it, and I encourage anybody who is curious about it to go for it. So that's all I've really got. I'm open for questions if anybody has any.
Well, first, I'm glad to see you survived the pandemic.
Yeah, I think I timed it just right. It was kind of the end of 2020 when we started getting everything together, and then we're able to kind of dip our feet in as people started coming out of the house again.
There you go. Anyone have any questions or comments for Ashley? Billings, right? You're out of Billings?
Yep, we're in Billings.
You go outside of Billings often to cater?
I've done a few things in Bozeman and Livingston, but a lot of it is local. I'm more than willing to. Are you looking for dinner?
Always.
No, I'd like to. I actually just had a conversation with some of my crew for our kitchen parties, talking about how fun it would be to maybe do it in Livingston or come up to Great Falls. I think we've got a good crew, and we've been doing it now for about almost 4 years. So we might take it on the road. If we do, I'll let you know.
Okay. Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate everything you do.
All right, take care.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. TJ, you up again?
So I already covered some of the things. So on this document here, it's the OIS program update. On this handout, it just kind of has a summary of the fiscal year 2025 Tribal Business Development Grant awardees and their projects. And so the two recipients were Blackfeet and CSKT. Just a quick narrative about what they're doing in Blackfeet. Blackfeet received a $89,400 award for their Buffalo program in Browning. And so this project, it aims to purchase 2 large freezer units and 1 truck freezer transport unit. And so these freezer units are going to provide safe and reliable storage, while the transport unit will ensure efficient delivery of all the processed buffalo products to facilities across Glacier County. It's going to meet the needs of the local community and support food security efforts. So that was a project that we funded this year out of Tribal Business Development Grant. The second one was, as Commissioner Finley mentioned, the meat processing facility. They were awarded $150,600, and their project, in fact, I don't know, Commissioner Finley, if you want to speak about it, you probably could speak about it better than I could as far as what's going on with that project.
I missed their groundbreaking. That was just last week, I think. But one thing I think is really cool that they're doing is they're incorporating I just blanking on everything. They're a composting. So they're going to be doing composting. So there just won't be, they're gonna turn it over, which is really cool. And I visited a few composting facilities before, and it's amazing how quickly things degrade and how hot it gets. You have to turn it over. It's really an easy process, but it's better than just kind of like dumping it and allowing it to rot or whatever. You can turn it over just in a matter of days, like the whole animal will just be composted. So that's part of their plan too, is the composting.
How many tribes have meat processing?
We don't
Oh,
anymore.
you don't anymore? Just Blackfeet, that's good.
Blackfeet, yeah, they,
Oh.
Mhm.
Oh,
So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you got it, you don't?
well, Warrior Trail meats is separate. Yeah. But, this is, we're trying to build up our buffalo program, and it's been 2 years and it's doing really well now, but, this is stuff but this is part of our goal too, and packaging and, processing and packaging, and I know there's a lot of food sovereignty dollars out there, but we don't have anyone designated to I guess find those for us. I don't know.
Commissioner Finley, do you know the timeline on kind of the project as far as when they can have it complete and when to?
I can't think of it off the top of my head right now,
Okay.
but yeah, they've come in and we've talked about their plans a lot. Off the top of my head, I can't think of exactly what their timeline is.
Yep.
They're very, the two women who've worked on this have did an excellent job. Gathering all the resources, working with the city, working with the county, the water supply, all of that. So it takes a lot of planning.
So the 150 was used for this composting initiative
No,
with it,
no.
or what was the 150 used for?
Let's see. So I'm not sure exactly what they were using it for, what that specific.
I
amount
think,
would
yeah,
be
there
used
was
for.
a component, this retail space. There was like a modular for the retail space, and I think that might have been the USDA representative that was gonna be housed there or something to that effect. So that's what I recall that money specifically being used for, is for that space, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me see, one more comment that the Swiffer grant also helps with recycling. It's quite a significant amount too. It's like a little over $1 million, because we were looking at building a new building for our Prairie Mountain Utilities program and getting them into recycling. But long story short, they just really weren't at the shovel-ready stage to want to somehow strangely not want a new big building, but you can only leave people the water, you can't make it, So we had to step down from that one.
So the Swiffer grant is for recycling.
Yeah, you can build a building and then do recycling, so you might want to think about that for your meat crossings facility.
I think just in general too, because, I think that maybe everywhere garbage is an issue.
It is, and
How to deal with it better.
and you don't always have the end game of where, once you collect, you don't always have the end game locally to take it to, so you're gonna have to ship to Billings or Great Falls. Haber, like for us, Haber will take some things, but not everything. And there's a lot of little things to it, like you can't recycle boxes unless they're completely not harmed, so they can't be stained or punched up or nothing. So it's tricky. So you get people bringing in recycling, got to be educated on what to bring in, what's worth bringing in and recycling versus where you can also ship it and process it out if you're not going to process it yourself. It is worth it because recycling is really important.
Was that fun?
Yeah, I think that.
Potentially could.
Yeah.
I think it could. That's all I have. update for that. Yeah, it was real short. We already covered, the other part on this was the reservation research data, which was that spreadsheet we already talked about, so.
All right, Brian.
Again, I'm Brian Singer, the entrepreneur development specialist, and I manage the Indian Equity Fund. And so, and the Native American Business Advisors Grant. So yeah, we just finished contracting. We selected 25 businesses out of 123 for the Indian Equity Fund. So right now, working on giving them or providing them their reimbursement for their purchases. So let's see, the Indian Equity Fund program is proud to support a diverse range of Native American owned businesses across Montana. This fiscal year, 2025, the awards spanning over various industries from agriculture, ranching, hunting outfitting to construction, arts and crafts, welding, as well as trucking, wellness, spa, automotive repair, and an automotive parts store. We have some food and beverage, food trucks. We have a resort, an embroidery business, equestrian business, pet services, and graphic design and merchandise. So we have some multi-generational businesses on the Blackfeet Reservation, on the Flathead Reservation, and also Fort Peck Reservation. And we have a few startups as well. So really a good broad range of businesses. This year we implemented a scoring matrix that mirrored the guidelines for the Indian Equity Fund. And it's a competitive grant. You know, we had to deny 98 businesses the Indian Equity Fund. And so we wanted to make sure that we chose the best applications available. And so in your packet, you'll see like a list of some of the businesses, that we decided to award. And so yeah.
Question, sorry to interrupt.
Mhm.
So I don't know what Pam's Ag Services.
That's
No, I mean, this is my point here is there should be communication between the recipients somehow and at least tribal leadership somehow.
Okay.
First of all, so we don't compete against them, but so the leadership is aware, because if it's an ag service, I mean, I kind of know what it is, but they have never come to us to, I don't know if you can get like an endorsement requirement or something, or just even, I don't know if it should be an endorsement, but just so that the leadership on the reservation is aware that this is being submitted or it has been awarded, even if it's after the award. I don't know.
If it competes with the tribe, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
Just a suggestion, because we're looking into going into the ag business. We purchased farm equipment and looking for, and the thing about it is with us, we have to approve whatever land they're using for this, so they haven't come to us, to my knowledge.
Chairman Gray, what we do at Fort Belknap, I mean, doesn't apply to this particular thing, but like for all grants, because if it happens on tribal lands, folks are all required to fill out a grant submission form declaring what grant they want to apply for, why, what it is, all the, and then it goes to the planning department, then it goes to the CAO, the president, just so that we can like know what people are applying for. So that might be something.
Can you send that to me?
I can, yeah. Okay. It just kind of helps so that everyone's on the same page, because you're right. If it's like a private individual or it's an entity, well, depending on what grant, because I'm only talking about grants, but it does help because then you're eliminating duplication of services, and then also plans. Everyone's got a plan, and so it is kind of good to kind of run the gauntlet of just letting people know. individuals have a right to apply for whatever they want. We get that. We want to support tribal businesses, but maybe just for collaboration, it might be a good idea to just have
Yeah,
somebody fill out, like, even just a notice that says if you're gonna be applying for individual things, just, fill out the full form, so we just at least can kind of know what you're doing, so that we can have a discussion if there's any duplication of effort on a project.
right. Yeah, I think that would be good. I mean, we could even
I know that's
provide you
out of
with a
you.
list of like businesses that are applying, and so that way you know that they're aware, or you're aware of their services that provide on the reservation. This one in particular is out of Busby, Precision Aerial Mapping Service. And so Dane Dahl is the tribal member, and what he did was he's purchasing a drone, and it's a pretty good sized drone, and they're using it to map people's land, but also spraying with the pesticides and everything else. And so I've seen it, some demonstration. They sent me some videos, and they have the drone go around and it maps out the area, and they could set it to a spray setting, and it has the chemicals underneath, and it has an efficient amount of chemicals dispersed on the field, so it's not so much wasted by the airplane just dropping it off and dumping it in one spot. It actually gives like a good efficient amount on each field. And so they're booked like with farmers and ranchers on the Northern Cheyenne and the Crow Reservation. And so like it's actually a really good business, and it's the future, really, using a drone,
For sure.
But see, but see, like something like that,
Mm,
does the tribe require any kind of licensing, permitting, or fees associated with that on tribal lands? So see, like a little thing like that, just to check in with somebody. coordinate A little bit.
With this, I mean,
Not
that's
you,
just my
but the
recommendation. Yeah, not you, but
right.
and we were like, they should, like I said, have to be given an endorsement or a letter of support or something from the tribe. It's the same with our nonprofits. And then that last presentation on the Go Good, we can be helpful in promoting those nonprofits. And just, like you said, on our tribal lands, knowing what they're doing on our tribal lands. But we've been working on that.
Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Before.
Talk about that, we got business license ops.
Should be included with
One
the-
of these, they're gonna do business on the reservation. Business license. Right. I think that's what your requirement. Have a business license. So. Okay. Yeah. I don't know, been in politics quite a while. Yeah. And I don't know, coming up to the tribal business committee saying, hey, I want to start this business. Well, they're not providing the funding, they're just providing the information. How the heck we keep politics out of it?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
for real,
that's, and like, that would be, well, my intent personally would be to, just for information, but I could see the other
Yeah.
side of it too.
So, Chairman, wouldn't that be wouldn't the Navas be
Right.
telling the council, like an email or
Yeah,
something
for
to the
sure.
chairmen?
Yeah.
These are the applicants that we've got so far.
But the Navas also, with some of these, we selected one of them, but you guys didn't pick them, but then you came back and picked it. We didn't know that. The Navas didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a bunch that are,
So we need to.
there's a
Yeah.
bunch that I knew about that aren't on this list, but there is a Fort Belknap one, so I'm pleased to see that. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
You guys do your press release about this yet?
Not yet.
When you do, could you please make it very, make sure that it says that the state, this is a state field, not a tribal, because a lot of members think that work.
Yeah, like we're,
yeah.
recommending
What
that.
do we do with that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I know, yeah, there was a lot of applications that we had to deny, and so,
They think
and I
the
plan,
council's picking this stuff. But they're getting
Mhm.
pass his hand to
No,
us.
that's a good idea, yeah. Yeah, I'll alert our marketing before we send that out.
All right. Hope he gets that.
Yeah, they have been too. Yeah, I've spoken with a number of them and, you know, it's tough. There's a lot of good ones, you know, and so I wanted to work with them to, yeah, a lot of good businesses and, you know, all across our state. And it's good to see all the entrepreneurs and a lot of them need some work, right? They need more marketing and accounting and work on their business plan. And, you know, there's a few of them on here that applied actually multiple times. And their application every year gets stronger and stronger. And so this year we chose, I didn't even know some of them that they did apply, like SSW beadwork, you know, she's really been going forth, like had an online business and now she's opening a physical location and her business plan was phenomenal, you know, and this was actually the third time that she applied. So it's good to see that some of them were still hanging in there, even though they were denied.
Do you
They just
give
come back
feedback?
stronger. Yeah, some of them I gave, I plan on really reaching out to all of them once I'm done with this cycle. And, you know, I encourage all of them to reapply, but what I really want to do is that conduct interviews. I think that would be the strongest way to really gauge where they're at as far as like having a good, strong business mindset. If they're serious about their business and be able to ask them questions face to face. And I think that would be really good. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. I mean, this is my first time doing the Indian Equity Fund. And so I appreciate all of your feedback. Anybody else have any questions?
I do. Can I know, at least for Fort Belknap's, who the ones that weren't selected? Can I get a list of those?
Yeah.
Because like, I still want to track them and help them and be
Yeah.
able to deal with them.
Yeah.
Get, you know,
Yeah.
start right away and help them gear up for the next round or whatever.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
okay.
And I think the communication back to the applicants is really good too, because then they know, well, next year, or I need to focus on this, or I need to collect this data, you know, for
Yeah,
their,
yes, for sure.
even other grants that they apply for.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what we're gonna do, the ones that weren't selected for us, we're gonna use our SSPCI money.
Oh,
To
okay.
help loan the.
Oh, okay.
Help the daycare one,
Mhm.
give her.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Little Shell had a lot of applications. CSKT had a lot of applications. I mean, just those two alone had to have been about 50% of the applicants, you know. So that was like a really tough pool to choose from. But, you know, I was really proud of who we selected. And, you know, I think there's some kinks that we could probably fix, you know, for the next round and the rounds to come. But I think this was pretty good.
Yeah.
We wanted to get a good
25
mix.
is really good number.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great.
How many did you have total? Do you have a number?
123 applicants.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And I think the more we get the word out, the more we advertise.
The more
Even-
money Mark gives you.
That's what's the capital? budget?
Yeah.
How much funding do you have to?
320,000. So, yeah. And so the max award was 14,000 and it's a full dollar for dollar match. And I think the majority of the process was really investigating their assets. They're using a match, whether it's cash or some asset of some sort. And so verifying those matches and working with the NABAs, getting them out there and checking to make sure they own, you know, everything that they're saying they're utilizing. And that was a fun process. So yeah, so this is my first time doing this. And, you know, we had a lot of fun and our team did fantastic, you know, Rochelle and Marilyn and TJ. So we reviewed them and we all gave feedback and so yeah.
Yeah, I just would like to, you know, Brian's done a tremendous job. When he started, I think it was December.
Yeah,
December. So the application cycle had already concluded. And so kind of a tough time to get thrown into Indian Equity Fund, but he's done a great job with it. I don't know if you can tell, but he's passionate about this, you know, businesses and business startup. And, you know, we've had some discussions about planning like he had mentioned, like the interviews, like a training event of some kind, so we can better equip our NAVAs, and then even the ones who didn't receive funding, to have them come so that we can tell them what makes a better application, what's missing, so he's all over that piece as well, so.
You should have a business fair, like a job
Yeah.
fair kind of thing,
Yeah.
but like a tribal business fair.
Yeah.
Where you
Yeah.
have demos from the people that,
Yeah, I attended a couple and not too many businesses came out, but I think like if we reach out to those applications that didn't get selected, and
like.
I think we could motivate them to bring their business in and give a presentation,
Yeah.
Chairman Gray, I'd just like to make a comment, but we just had a Terra Expo under Department of Labor.
Yeah.
They came right to Fort Belknap in our bingo hall, and we had KLJ.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had, well, we had a booth ourselves, even though we were looking to hire, we wanted to tell kids about what it was to work for the planning department and about some of the technology that we're using. Just trying to,
Yeah.
like, and the kids had a lot of good questions. They brought over like 6 high schools to us. And there was like supposed to be over 600 kids, but it turned out, but that's good recruiting to have them start thinking about the local jobs. As
Yeah,
well. But anyway,
yeah,
if these guys could be, and I know our Terra director's gonna hold another one, I'll let you know, but
yeah,
we'd like to invite some of these guys to come and showcase and have a booth.
yeah. And if that's something Northern Cheyenne wants to do too,
Let's do it.
I think we had the least amount of applicants was Northern Cheyenne, and so I live in Hardin, so I mean, I wouldn't mind coming over and helping out and really doing some outreach, I know, yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to do something to.
Let's do it during Little Bighorn Days
Oh, yeah, yeah.
at Grove somewhere,
Mhm.
because a lot of our people go over there too. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and I'm in communication with one of the business instructors at Lodgecraft High School, and they're getting them going, right, teaching them how to write business plans, and we ran into them at Plenty Doors, and they were all establishing their business or bank accounts, and so I think really educating the youth on this kind of stuff
Yeah,
is
for
really
sure.
really good because they're the
We,
future, so.
Alicia Doney, it's an came in and did she's done presentations to the business class at the high school, but the kids, I guess, haven't been exposed to, a lot of the kids haven't been exposed to any kind of business, to have a business mindset. But we did have one kid who does welding sculptures and stuff. That's a student, which was good to have him do a presentation to his peers, just saying, hey, I made this and I sold it for, this much or whatever. But just having that business mindset, like even with, there's so much, the possibilities are endless pretty much, but like even the fashion stuff that's kind of trendy now, and the makeup artists and all of that kind of stuff. Food, there's so much that I was just trying to give examples like in a room to spark interest and
Yeah. There's a lot of businesses in Billings as well. And so NADC, they were reaching out and they're wanting to know how to apply, and maybe I could provide them some training on our application and, yeah. So if there's any other questions, comments, concerns.
when is the new? Yeah, good job.
I look at these businesses. Yeah. The main objective, I guess, is businesses on the reservation. Not in Billings, not in Havre, not in Big Sandy, but on the reservation. Strength of the reservation. Yeah. I think that's what it's all about. Yeah, I agree, definitely. Like I'm from Crow, and if I want to get a oil change, I got to go to Billings. If I want to get my windshield fixed, I got to go to Billings. If I want to get a pizza, whatever it is, you have to go off the reservation. So I totally agree. That's why I looked at some of these like Omi's Pizzas. They've been operating for 30 plus years in Hart Butte, and they're expanding into Browning. There's one from I think Ty's Malt Shop.
You know, I think they've been open since like 1948 or something,
They
right?
just went out of business.
Oh, I think he's opening another
oh,
shop in
oh,
St.
he's moving,
Ignatius.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
The building got sold.
Oh,
so
okay.
he's moving his business, okay.
But seeing those types of multi-generational businesses are really important to the character of our reservations, you know. You know, I'm originally from Lodgecraft, and so people, we talk about it all the time, like, oh man, remember the day when we had a bowling alley or Cozy's Corner, and we had this diner, and then they went out of business, you know, because something broke or, you know, they couldn't pay for something. So, you know, like, where is it at? The Old North Trail Enterprises, like they needed a dishwasher and they've been using the same dishwasher since the 80s, you know? And so providing something like that, give them that little bit of assistance to keep them going, I think is important, you know? But then also having the new businesses. Yeah. But yeah. Anybody else? Anything else?
Good job.
Yes.
All right, thank you guys.
When is the new funding cycle?
All together. 126, yeah.
Hey, Rochelle, how are you?
Hello, everyone. Great to see you. Sounds good. So yeah, Rochelle Brown, Tribal Tourism Officer. You'll find in your folders a one-pager for my update, something that you'll be able to also take home, or if you have follow-up questions, let me know. Just starting out, you'll see the Tribal Tourism Grant Awards for 2025. Those are listed there. Little Shell Arbor Improvements and Additions, Fort Belknap, Ani Nakota Tours. That's a vacation rental renovation right there in Harlem. And then we've got Rocky Boys Rodeo Grounds. They're going to be putting in new bucking chutes that are going to make that venue safer and more enjoyable for the riders and the spectators. We've got finally the Tribal Tourism Historic Preservation grants have gone out the door. Most of those have been signed. We just have a few that are remaining. On the point of Confederated Salish and Kootenai, we needed to do an edit to that contract to make sure that we had the right department liaison for the tribe on there. And they got back to me and told me that that will be Tony Incashola. I don't know if I said that right. So getting that corrected, and then that'll get rerouted. So that should get signed before the fiscal year end deadline. And then you'll see that we have a list of 17 of the Tribal Tourism Small Business Grant awardees and the tribal nations for which they are enrolled and what type of business it is. And so I've got a list there for you. Then I was able to contract 7 of the 8 tribal nations for the tribal tourism event sponsorships. Those are the $8,000 a year that I've been able to do the last 2 years. And if the commission is still supportive of that, as long as funds allow, I can try to continue to do that on an annual basis. I'm going to stop right there and see if there's any questions before we go to the last few points.
I have a question.
Yeah, hi, Rochelle, this is Richard. On the, the new bucket shoots don't cost 50,000. They may be able to get them for less. What can they do with the other? If you give them 50,000, are they supposed to spend 50,000 or what?
Well, the budget is actually 75,000. So it's 50,000 from the department and then 25,000 from the tribe, half being cash, half being in kind. If the project gets going and the cost comes in under that, then just let me know if there's an additional element at that location that could benefit from some additional work or repairs or additions. And we can do an amendment to the contract to expand the scope We would just need to know what that scope is, what they want to do, and what those costs are.
Okay.
And I believe on all of these, except for the sponsorships, awardees will have 2 full years to complete the project. So we've expanded the timeline because it has been too difficult to meet a 1-year timeline on a lot of these projects. So to avoid all of the stress of trying to do extensions, we just want to give more runway for people to get these projects completed. And especially with, who knows, with supply chain issues and labor shortages and continuing cost issues, just more flexibility, I think, will benefit all parties.
And can you send leadership, tribal leadership, the award, so the Brew Crew, I don't know what that is. You know, for Northern Cheyenne, I mean, just in I guess I'd like to do it in a way where if someone had a personal vendetta against someone else, that they couldn't get in their way, but at the same time, just informing us of who's supposed to be doing what.
Yeah. I really appreciated your earlier conversation with Brian and Indian Equity Fund. I was paying very close attention. This is the time in which we can do program resetting before the next fiscal year. If we want to make changes to our guidelines, increase requirements of applicants. Right now in the guidelines, there is a general encouragement of TARO registration and Secretary of State registration. But with a new legal team coming into Commerce, combined with the feedback of the state commissioners, it would be probably in our best interest to start strengthening these guidelines to say, if you are an existing business, you have to show proof of TARO registration as well as registration with the Secretary of State and be in good standing. And if you're a startup business, then by 6 months of getting the award before starting business, you need to be registered with TARO and Secretary of State. I would like all of your feedback on a letter of support component. We certainly don't want to make the bar too high for people in a 2-month window to apply to try to obtain letters of support from the tribes. And my window is October through November. Sometimes there are tribal elections taking place. There's a lot of things going on internally. So do you think that would you consider that a TARO registration, making that a mandatory requirement, would aid in the tribe having notice of these businesses?
Oh.
Not so much for us either. Trying to figure out a way where it doesn't,
The election things gets kind of in the way.
yeah, where it doesn't create an obstacle for them, but just so that the tribal leadership is aware of that.
Rochelle was just kind of like the BIA. As soon as we learn how to play the game, we start changing the rules.
Ouch.
You know, there are a lot of people that probably go by the present rules and then we can make them more it's harder to comply with. Or maybe that a lot less people that are going to apply. That's just my.
Well, we have the Northern Cheyenne Development Corporation, which is supposed to be, I guess, the manager or the overseer for all of our tribal businesses, but they haven't established themselves well enough. we're still struggling with our tribal businesses, putting our tribal businesses under them.
But maybe
So I don't know.
on a tribe basis too, like. But for us,
Which way you want to do it,
we're so spread out.
Yeah.
Out of the. Reservation based is totally different.
So another alternative, again, I know that our legal is going to require Secretary of State registration, so that piece is at least, more of a state requirement, not a tribal nation requirement. Once we get the awards, we also put out a press release. Would you want us to forward that press release on to maybe the tribal secretaries or just to the state commissioners? Both. Okay, good. Especially when we don't have all the representation from all the tribes right now on the commission. That probably would be helpful to try to close that communication gap. Okay.
Rochelle, I just have a question, Stelina. So of the 17, like, was that everybody who applied, or was how much did you have to skip or bypass?
Great question. Great question, Commissioner Kutzerow. Thank you so much. We had 23 submissions. And of those 23, the 6 that were not awarded either did not have all the required materials or a complete submission, or they were looking for the funding to do activities that were not eligible. And the last criteria is in the scoring matrix, every applicant had to receive a score from the review committee that was 70 points or higher out of 100. So that was our threshold. So those 6 were either not eligible activities, not complete, or received a score from the review committee that fell under 70 points. Additionally, I followed up with all of those that did not receive the award, and I gave them feedback directly from the review committee as to why they weren't recommended for funding. What were some points of critique that might be helpful if they decide to apply again?
Thank you, Chairman. I have one more question. This is Delina again. So 17 would be 170,000 to the 17 applicants at $10,000 a piece. What was the total pot? Or are we?
Total pot is 2,400. Sorry, 240,000. Gosh, my brain is blah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So that funding.
Sorry, Michelle.
Go ahead.
Can you give the names of the, I know Randy Elliott is Elliott Ranch Brandon B. But for Brew Crew and Lemon Drip, can you give the names of those?
I believe so. Yeah, I know Lemon Drip is, I think Wiley Bear comes out.
Okay.
And Brew Crew, I think is it Kajan Bear comes out? Those are just off the top of my head. It's like K''Ghan.
Okay.
So
Thank
Chairman,
you.
one final thought. I just, to the commission and to the councils, we probably need to do some internal work on making sure that we do a better job at making sure that, Fort Belknap, that's not why I'm saying this, but sometimes I can't keep track of everybody, but at Fort Belknap, I got to do a better job trying to make sure that we get local businesses, like the tourism. I know that there's tons that I can think of, Rochelle. I've got guides, I've got, like some other endeavors at Fort Belknap that I'm disappointed to see. I'm not saying that they didn't make the cut. I'm just saying I'm disappointed to see them not on the awarded list, and I got to do a better job, trying to make sure that I recruit and try to give those folks some support to make sure that they're applying.
Yeah.
I don't know what the non-applicant list looks like.
Additionally, with that, again, this is the first time this program's ever been launched. I put a lot of effort into newspaper placements and radio ads for this, but I do not feel that it reached the audience. It didn't reach our audience. I was hoping to get at the level of Indian Equity Fund level of submissions, and to only get 23, I just realized that it wasn't enough. This next point will relate to the last few things on my update today. In previous commission meetings, Commissioner Sangre has re-emphasized the use of tribal radio stations. And I attempted to get placements on the tribal radio stations for this. It wasn't successful effort. Our communications department had me go a different direction. However, this summer, we are utilizing the 5 radio stations across Indian country in the state. And once I know that that has been a precedent set through our marketing for the state brand of Visit Montana, it will make it a lot easier for me to utilize those channels to promote the next cycle of this program. So yeah, I guess unless there's anything else on this point, I can just move to the last couple of items on there.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So let me get back to my little notes here. So the Indian Country production, you know that that I have funding set aside. We have contracted with Scott Smoker and Jordan Leffler, the Leffler brothers, to be the videography and photography for capturing content this summer. However, my tribal tourism working groups have been stalled. And part of that is on me regarding some health things that came up for me the last few months. So it really slowed down my consultation process. So what we're looking at doing this summer is basically a part 1 of a 2-part plan. The first part is just to capture content at each of the tribal nations, just generally content. We're not looking at doing interviews. We're looking at having these production teams go to events, capture vendors, capture spectators. They will be working with the tribes to ensure that the film permitting is all in place in order for them to go and attend these events and do that. Our lens is different. It's not about capturing our tribal citizens as objects. It is about the vitality and activity economically at each of the communities during these events, and get into the community streets to go and visit with small businesses and see if they wish to be featured and captured for this content that will eventually be in new videos and the guidebook. Simultaneously, I am just anxiously awaiting the contracting with our agencies of record so that I can get a second scope of work as well as an extension on this so that we can capture some shoulder season content and then have a more full plan for next summer that would include whatever those interviews and stories that each of the tribal tourism working groups determine that they want to have as the tone and the story told through these products that would be hitting the market summer 2027. They would all be finalized in the spring of 27 and be ready to launch with the summer campaign of 27. Additionally, in my fiscal year 27 funding, reserving a large amount of my funds for advertising so that we can do a big campaign to get this out and nationwide. So any questions on the Indian Country production at this point? Okay. Great. As I mentioned, Visit Montana has done a rebrand, and so they are going on a brand launch. Commissioner Sangre was one of the select individuals that got an opportunity to see a sneak peek of the new brand. Very few people have actually seen it. The commerce has been very hush hush and under wraps about this new brand. They are doing a brand launch party in Miles City, which will be on Friday, May 16th. The governor will be there. It's open to the public. If anyone is interested in going to Miles City for that event, I'll be sure that I forward on to you the community invite on that. And then they're planning to take the tour of the new brand across the state in order to really have the campaign focused on Montanans first. And then beyond that, in July, it'll go national. So that's that update. And the last two things are production assistant training. So that has been relaunched. The next training is actually going to be next weekend at let's see, no, the 13th, actually, now that I think about it, the 13th, I think, is a Tuesday. Okay, so it's May 13th, Tuesday at Stone Child College. And they are looking for those that are interested in who have not received this scholarship to apply for the scholarship. And I just received notice from Accelerate yesterday about this. And so as soon as I get the updated flyer, I'll be sending that out. This training that's coming up next week, there's going to be multiple trainings over the year to get the rest of these production assistance scholarships out the door. So I'm waiting for a more general flyer so that we can have individuals submit, apply for it, and get on a future schedule for our training. And the last thing about the training is that they are combining it with a production that's taking place. The film is called The Undefeated. And so day one is training, and day two of this next week will be those who are able to can work on the production and get those credits on the film as well as on their resume. And then just the last thing here is, yeah, just let you know about the IANTA conference. And I know that we weren't able to go, most of us were not able to attend the International Indigenous Tourism Conference that took place in Canada. So looking now domestically, I am asking if the commission wishes to, I don't know if we have a quorum. Marilyn, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
I am requesting that the commission, if anyone is interested in funding from my fiscal year 26 to cover the cost of commissioners or their delegates to attend the IANTA conference. It's in Choctaw, Mississippi, just before Halloween.
Do we need a motion for that? Yeah. A motion to, or a motion from Richard, second?
A second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Take out your money or your checkbook.
Okay, great. So, yeah, I'll be coordinating with all of you. You'll let me know if you wish to attend or if you are going to delegate someone to go on your behalf. And we would love to have a strong presence. So we just continue to develop this tourism industry, as I think is a really good match for Indian country economic development. Thank you, everybody. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Legislation.
TJ?
No, TJ?
So Mackenzie, she couldn't make it here in person today, but she provided me with an email just kind of summarizing the legislative updates that she wanted me to read. So at this time, yeah, I'll go ahead and read these off. So updates for business MT programs. So our Native American Collateral Support Program, there still is funding available. The NACS program is currently accepting applications. As of April 11th, 2025, $91,007.51 in cash funding is available with an additional $10,125 expected by the end of May. For more information, please contact the program specialist, Chris Ryan, chris.ryan@mt.gov for more information. Legislative updates, session has ended, big smiley face on the end here. Senate Bill 379, revised laws related to state tribal consultation, was voted down in the House on April 15th. For Senate Bill 303, require agency reporting and financial assistance to tribes, it passed and is pending governor's signature as of April 30th. In the bill's final form, this requires the Office of Budget and Program to put together and submit the report.
I was just checking to see on a couple of those bills to, I know they were before the governor this morning, so. I'm waiting to see, I'm assuming he did. They're all recommended to be signed.
Oh.
What was that tribal consultation?
That one failed in the House.
The tribal consultation?
Yeah. But there was 3 of Senator Wendy Boy's and then Senator Moshe's indigenous people's day. It was before him today. And so I believe he's hired to sign off. But I just was.
Okay.
So. But they don't, but everything from the reporting, which Senator worked with the budget office on it, there was some challenges. It was the 3rd session he tried to go. And there was some challenges with the date that he had set before for the budget office to be able to put the data together. And then he gave a little bit more flexibility. There's sometimes he just couldn't parse actual amounts out of some of the programs. So.
All right, thanks, TJ. Any other business?
I was just thinking there, Michelle. Tourism, we get a percentage. I don't know. It's got to be a boycott against tourism from stated. But that'll kind of one countries that foreign nationals that come here. They got a warning against them or something. I don't know if that hurt our tourism. We get a portion of that from the tax. Something I was just thinking about along the lines of tourism, where our funding comes from. And watch for us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good to know. Any other business? Where's our next meeting?
Next meeting is in Billings.
There.
It is. I think it's August 8th, but let me make sure. August 8th.
Okay.
Is that your inclusion?
No, it's a week.
No.
I think what might be helpful, because we were talking about this outside, but maybe just having some kind of, we have the kind of roundtable opening, but just being able to, I guess, share successes and struggles as far as tribal business goes. I know, like, for Northern Cheyenne, I mean, tourism is almost non-existent. And it's so important now because, and I say this over and over again to my colleagues, but we have to change our mindset and act as if the government is completely going away, the federal government. So we have to be able to be self-sustaining. And there's pros and cons to it. I know a lot of the traditionalists and whatever hate the fact that people would be coming onto our land, you know, but if we are able to promote it and to do it, telling our story as it should be told, it would be helpful, but maybe having something the day before our STED committee somehow, maybe we'll just talk about the tribal businesses or yeah, like a business expo or something.
So for the August meeting, we have the NADC conference that are right before it.
Okay,
So it gets over on Thursday, and then Friday we have our STED meeting, which is why we did that.
okay, that's a good idea.
So, but I'm just saying for that one, so like
Yeah.
Polson, in November, something like that, if they want to put something like that together, or we can think about that in the future or something. Yeah.
Well, maybe we can just do a small one. Just do it, no, during the Bitcoin days, just to.
Doing what?
Just to get it going during Little Bitcoin days.
Oh, okay.
At Crow, for Crow and Northern Cheyenne, or whoever, we can leave it open to whoever. I know that's really fast, but. Yeah, starting point. Okay.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Richard. This is last meeting. All right, well, everybody travel safe. Thank you all.
Thank you.